what I asked for. Aim for the country fair, you read it in the paper. The worst thing happens any week, chain loving to a Mormon. See the happy pair smiling close like they're monkeys. They wouldn't think so, but they're holding themselves down. Hold themselves down. I found that essence rare, it's what I look for. I get what I asked for.
hungry? Looking for a tempting treat? Hold on till I absorb some heat. Some added tang might please you too. I'll slide into an oven-fresh bun, and I'm ready for your eating fun.
Why don't you try a juicy good hot dog? Mmm, delicious.
Social distancing
hour. Please enjoy me for your eating fun, and also please send me evenings and weekends.
Wow, that was a great intro. He's Adam.
He's Michael. This is Ren.
She's Renevere. Hi, Ren.
Hi.
Yeah, man, Gang of Four.
Yeah,
Peel Sessions.
I had to
the
play
John Peel Show on BBC.
That's the Gang of Four Peel Sessions. It seemed an appropriate intro for the kind of show that we got in store tonight. We got to prime the pump a little bit.
I'm ready, man.
Yeah,
you give me a good band from Leeds, and I'm set.
Good.
I'm how you doing?
I'm doing good. We've been off drinking cocktails and eating cake. We had our second meeting with our wedding cake makers, the folks from Flower Kitchen, who are awesome and who we should have on the show after we're done talking to political candidates and doing election stuff. They're real interesting folks, and
fuck yeah.
New business started during shutdown, and interesting story behind them, and doing interesting stuff and partnering with all sorts of cool local people. But in the meantime, the world is on fire, and we got to spend a little bit of time talking about that first before we can talk about cake. So, how was your week?
I live so much inside my own head, and I hold it's not even a running monologue in my head. It's an inner dialogue between different fractions of my understanding of the way that the world works and my, essence in it.
Sure.
And
On brand.
I've been on the borderline of just herd immunity is not a choice at this point.
No.
There are still people that not only don't have masks, but proudly don't wear them. I was at a reputable West Side grocery store today, and there was this chick without a mask on, a woman in her late 50s, early 60s by a quick gesture, but didn't have her fucking mask on, and is just wearing this shit-eating grin looking at everybody. And it's like, because of you, we're still here.
Right.
And so I'm at this point of then acceptance is we're all going to get it. I will, if I do not die, I will be gravely injured because I have been smoking longer than I haven't. Kids don't smoke. Filthy, ugly, expensive habit. I'm an addict to nicotine, and but I love it.
But if you want to be like Michael,
I look super cool when I'm doing it. Yeah, but I mean, just even if I don't die from COVID, what it does to your lung percentage to someone that already has a very short capacity for their own lungs, that's mad damage. But I can't, someone was had just come from the University of Alabama back to Erie and had flown the night before and was out in public in an enclosed area. And early on, Alabama Roll Tide was rolling in COVID. Just it was greater, right behind Chapel
just
Hill.
Getting it
for they were comparing it to countries in Europe.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're not going to take it serious, then why be responsible now?
Yeah.
Personally. And the other part of it is if you're going to be that asshole, then don't wear pants and run red lights. Just go all out. Just say no one gets in the way of your rights.
Yeah.
You are that important. It is that everything is a fucking sham unless it aligns completely with your thinking.
Gonna go set it all on fire.
yeah, like shit's bad, yo. And like, we're not going, no, there's no adult that's coming out and saying fix it. And we've already gotten to a point where it is just an absolute battle of not only political, but just social understanding of like, I'll wear a fucking mask. That's like, this is just, it's gone on so long. And it's just, there's a second wave hitting other places that tried to do, real stuff. And it started to get there.
As I think anyone could have predicted, we've now got the president saying like, "Oh, I got over it in 4 days. No big deal." Which he didn't, and he's still, contagious and spreading it to everyone, and a danger to himself and others. But who's going to tell him he's not? Like, other than you and me, and who's listening to you and me, other than the people who are listening to you and me? Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening to me and Michael.
Are you
Thank
still
you.
off social media, Michael?
Yeah, bunch.
Ren-
I got the other show back. So on Wednesdays, I go on and post that I'm going to do those other shows, and then I check messages and notifications, but I don't participate. I don't go on the home feed. I go direct to my thing, and I'm like, boom, on the radio. And then I don't even like check that or plug anything. I don't update it. I just,
you give it the
just
once
for
a
those
week
of you in
and
the
that's it.
know, like like the 35 of you that are going to see this, because I don't interact. Like, here you go. But yeah, I can't. I do read Twitter. I don't tweet. I don't really like participate by commenting or anything, but I use it as a news aggregate.
Okay.
So, like following a bunch of stuff and just like reading the feeds and all the little things that I can create for myself. And like, and so I see the crazy shit, and, I follow people that tweet the shit that's just like bonker bananas. Here's this lady at a Costco throwing hands, because someone told her to put a fucking mask on, or, I don't know.
Can we go throw hands in Costco's? Like, we don't have a local Costco. Like, where is our closest Costco?
Cleveland.
Ren tells us that Cleveland is
our closest. No. There was
right off 270.
Okay.
There, I heard like, the vicious rumors that happen in every municipality, I guess. Sure. But I just recently heard about the over on Buffalo Road in Harbor Creek, that new Giant Eagle Plaza.
Right.
Other than the old new Giant Eagle Plaza out there. But someone was telling me, like, in a, like they'd been told that Costco was coming, or that Target was coming before it went in on up in Summit. Like,
right.
So there's these promises, but like, they're never going to, they're not coming here.
No,
there's nothing for them here. We got 8 fucking Walmarts within 20 minutes of each other. Like, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm hung up on it, man, because it's our lives. It's impacting, everything. It's exacerbating the wounds that already exist. And plus, no one's covering it the way that they should be. So I get, I don't know. Everyone gets distracted and they just want to go back to normal, and there is no normal. And if we're going back to it, it should not be the same as it was before.
No, normal sucked. Normal was going okay for me because I have white privilege and all the other things that I've got going for me. But like, normal, just as a generally speaking, normal sucked. And like, we can find something better to go to on the other side of this than whatever that was.
They just published a study on houselessness, and it was out of Canada, and they gave a basic income to all these houseless people in like Ottawa or something. I forget, but that was like sustainable dollars, not just like, you could get that efficiency for $35 a night kind of money, but like
Right.
substantial stuff to get your shit together. And
Not undercover
after the duration
millionaire
of the
money.
study, right, like 70% of them were sustainable living on their own.
Right.
Such a small, like, single-digit percentage was spent on drugs and alcohol. Like, people literally turn their lives around just from a universal basic income of money that already exists in our system and is just doled out incorrectly. So people should read up on that.
Like everyone.
Because we've got so much to get into tonight.
We do.
Man, yeah. Now, like, as soon as we started this, because I when we were coming out of it, I had lots of stuff to say about John Peel. I really wanted to talk about his power and influence over, like, the music that all of us listen to because of his radio show on the BBC.
Let's talk more about
I really
John
wanted to go. I really wanted to go off on that, and then we started on this, and then I started trying to think of all the crazy news I read this week that is just lost in the shuffle, and wanted to talk about that, and then I just started getting on already, like, angry Michael about shake my fist.
So
get on my lawn.
So are you on the Trump campaign text list right now, or are you not? Because I got my tickets for I got my tickets for when Eric was here, which sadly went unused. But like, it's been really interesting, the shift in tone in the texts from the Trump campaign. Like, before it was like, everything is great, everything is fantastic, we're doing all this huge stuff, and then in the last week or 10 days with the diagnosis, it's they seem lonely, and like, I'm trying to find my favorite one from the last couple of days. It's breaking. President Trump signed a photo for a top supporter, and it's you, meaning me. Congrats. He even left you a personal note to say thank you. Claim now. At this link, and then I go to the link.
Here's your fucking COVID picture signed by the president. Enjoy this, plebeian.
There's the link. I'm trying to bring it into focus. Bring it right there. But it says, dear blank, thank you for your support. Together we'll make America great again. Love and kisses, Donald.
It's a terrifying photo.
It's pretty terrifying. But just contribute $75 or more immediately, and we'll send you a personalized photo that was signed by the president himself. So I have once again won this week. I have once again won the opportunity to give them money, which is very, very exciting.
But
yeah,
I mean,
it's like
signed copy.
Signed copy. Act now, while supplies last. It's like there's an increasing loneliness. Like they notice that I don't text them back, and like they kind of got this like
desperation.
Oh yeah, they got this desperation. This sort of
I was gonna say you can just text stop, but I like the content.
Yeah, like I don't want to text stop. Like it's not it's not impeding my day. Like
it's nice to get a text every now and again.
It is. But like what it's
that you read.
what it's worth for the show exceeds the negative impact on my psychological well-being. So, it's worth staying on the list just because, like, I like the opportunity to psychoanalyze the tone that the Trump campaign is presenting at on a daily, weekly basis, because, like, there was definitely a kind of like swagger bravado in the tone of the texts they were sending a week or 2 weeks ago that is not there anymore. Like, it's like, deadlines are coming. We noticed you don't text us back. We've noticed that you don't seem to love us anymore. Please text us back. We're really worried about you. You know,
You're gonna get a Trump van in front of your
yeah,
house
like,
to do the
I mean,
welfare check.
You surely in your personal life
Are you?
you surely in your personal life have gotten the I'm really worried that you haven't texted me in 2 days kind of text. Yeah, and I'm starting to get I'm
like
starting
two
to get
2 days. I don't
2
text
hours.
people I'm fucking in 2 days. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but some of them notice. But yeah, I'm starting to get those like, "Are we still cool?" texts from the Trump campaign, and it's interesting. And
How's that to make you feel good?
no, no, it doesn't really make me
No.
feel one way or another. But like, it's yeah, it's an interesting observational thing, and like, it's definitely like it has definitely started to penetrate the mainstream media that that there is a panic setting in amongst the cognoscenti of the Republican establishment that this is maybe not going the way that they thought that this was going to go.
I mean, but welcome to the fucking party, though.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
like when you just run on these individual issues and that's all you do, and you got to stick to them because you can't get enough votes out of your base because you turn them all into issues voters, so you can't tact one way or another to like fix shit.
Yeah,
so you just got to keep going, like tax cuts and fucking, you know,
yeah,
fuck the poor.
Tax cuts and racism.
Like, you just got to keep
it's you know.
Yep. Unfettered capitalism everywhere you go, but which is really socialism because we remove the risk,
right,
for them. But to not do anything at this point and to just give in just to get, you know, judges, but to do nothing else.
And
you know,
like you know, I think, you know, any person who put any kind of weight behind what the poll numbers looked like 4 years ago is pretty gun shy right now. Like, yeah, the poll numbers look, you know, look good for Biden. The poll numbers look good for Republicans Democrats taking the Senate. The poll numbers look good for Democrats gaining seats in the House, but that's what they looked like last time. But at the same time, you know, you know, the polls have gained knowledge and the polls have gotten better since last time, and the polls are also stronger than last time. So, like, yeah, they, you know, fool me once, shame on me.
Yeah, it hasn't been this close.
You know, whatever, but
no, it hasn't been this close since President Dewey was elected. But yeah, it's
God bless President Dewey.
Like, but that's what it's gonna be, man. It's gonna like, anyone that declares themselves a winner on the 3rd is not the president. It's gonna take so much time, and the media isn't set up for it. The, you know, population at large isn't set up for it, and no matter whom takes the cup, like, they're not going to be verified and announced for, you know, maybe weeks till mid-November.
But speaking
I don't think that's
going
to sit right with people.
But speaking of November 3rd, the social
I knew there was a tie-in here.
Social distancing variety hour, election night spectacular.
Spectacular.
Don't you just love it when she rolls her R's? Is a thing coming to a screen near you on election night. We got roving reporter Alton Northrup, who's going to be out in the streets talking to the local campaigns, talking to anybody who can get to talk to him. We'll be here in the studios giving you all the news that's fit to give you.
Maybe we might even do it from one, you know, so we can get some breaking, but we'll see.
Oh, we could do that.
Maybe we'll get together for that.
Yeah,
so we can.
That would be an
option.
But
We'll see.
Yeah, we can drink much better.
Maybe I'll wear a tie.
Oh, I'm definitely wearing a tie. And if I'm wearing a tie, you're wearing a tie. But we got friends.
Just a tie.
It's just a tie. It's going to be a very special show. We got friends joining us from all over the country in all the states where there are exciting races. We got friends coming to us from Kentucky to talk about Mitch McConnell's race. We got friends coming to us from South Carolina to talk about the goings-on in South Carolina. We got Michigan, we got Minnesota, we got Iowa, we got Maine, we got lots and lots of the states that are in play and, exciting happenings going on. We're going to be checking in with friends from all over the country to talk about what's going on in their towns and in their cities and in their states. It's going to be a good old time, so come hang out with us. It's going to be a whole thing.
This was a show about music and drinking.
Yep.
This was a fucking show about music and drinking. And now we're going to spend election night talking to people all over the country and probably gaining more perspective than 90% of the fucking shit that they're going to put on the news. And it's outrageous.
But also drinking. Like CNN.
Also drinking.
CNN, like if you watch CNN's election night coverage, most of them will probably not be drinking. If you watch Fox News's, not that we know of, if you watch Fox News's election night coverage, they will all be drinking, but they'll be pretending that they're not. If you watch our election night coverage you can count on, transparent drinking, we will be
transparent drinking.
Yeah, we will be embracing the fact that we are drunk and talking about the election, and only. Yeah, so be a part of it. It's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be a grand old time.
Yeah, and it's going to be worth the live watch just to see our reaction to shit.
Yeah, most definitely.
Who knows? When you're watching it 3 days later, it's not going to be the same.
No. I got a map happening.
Get those numbers. Get those fucking numbers up.
I got a map happening. I got new graphics. I got a new theme song. I've done all this work for you people. Come hang out with us. Come watch it. So we got a cool show tonight. By the way.
I just had an idea. And I just talked about timing. I was like, no, we shouldn't do it at this time. We need to do it at this time. And
executive
it was great,
producer.
But executive producer.
Yeah. I'm surrounded by executive producers.
Hilarious.
It's a good life. So we got a cool show tonight, by the way. We got John Persinger.
Wait.
Oh,
wait.
Yes.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking in honor of our guest tonight?
I'm drinking whiskey. I had Elijah Craig, the Elijah Craig small batch, and this was the last of the Elijah Craig small batch. So it's the last of that, and also some Bird Dog, because that's what we had behind that in the cupboard.
Bird Dog's all right with me, man.
Bird Dog is solid. That's my that has kind of become that, or the one that I'm not thinking of the name of. Bird Dog is kind of my house whiskey for, mixed stuff in cocktails and just general.
Yeah. General chicanery. That's what it's for.
Low stakes whiskey drinking kind of whiskey. What you got?
Yeah, but I mean, serves a purpose. Spanish Red tonight.
Oh,
because I was excited. Infinito.
Okay.
No, 70% Monstrel. One of my favorite grapes.
Also known as
just always working.
Mourvedre.
Yep, Mourvedre. 20% Syrah, which I like because it's got a little spice to it.
A little peppery.
5% Petit Verdot, and then 5% Cabernet Sauvignon. But a really nice red blend. Really tasty. 93 points if you like points.
I like points.
But tasty, gets me where I want to be. And as you said, John Persinger on the show tonight. Blessed be. I'm so glad that he's coming on, because if there's one thing our show lacks, it's perspective, and so he's got a lot of it that we don't. So I'm super excited.
And you said weeks and weeks ago, because we talk, periodically.
We talk,
and you were like, "Oh man, I wish we could get John Persinger on." I'm like, I could ask him.
Oh.
And I did, and he said yes. So is that motorcycle?
It's kind of how this show works. I come up with some Yeah. It's coming through. It'll be by you in a second.
Michael comes up with the ideas. It was like, it'd be cool if we did this. I'm like, yeah, we could do that. I can make that happen. Yeah, that's what's going on. So
it's like rubbing. You're my magic lamp.
Yeah, that's what
I just rub you and ask for shit, and you're like, all right, there you go.
Since you asked so nicely. So let's get into a piece of music, and let's see if we can get Mr. Persinger in here with us. So, this is a new video.
If he's still coming.
Yeah. As far as I know. But yeah, this is a new video from friend of the program, Jordy the Traveler.
Oh, I love me some Jordy.
I love me some Jordy. Call him for all your Uber needs. This is Jordy the Traveler. This is First Flight. See you in a minute. Social distancing variety hour. Eerie.
Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning. Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning. Learning a lot, it's hard to feel cause I never stop. The times I built, I found my heart. I always quit when I'm overwhelmed, but now I learn how to hold my helm. My mind and feelings in a separate realm, and I ain't even got time to tell. I'm keeping secrets all to myself. I know that that's bad for my health. Please help me, I'm feeling diffy. The world's iffy, the colors mix. I think that weed been sipping shit. I'm smoking weed a little bit, but only cause I'm free as shit. Don't ask questions, I'm still questing and bill chipping. Reality gripping, woman chasing in time wasting, so I'm falling back. Always texting first, I'll put that in a hearse. I'll let that go to pass, I got the universe. I know that this isn't that really diverse, but I'm picking it up like I'm holding the earth. The weight on my shoulders is starting to hurt. I'm moving along and I'm blocking the curves. All that talk of the past Come is a rap for the birds. Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning. Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning. Last time I checked, I never did flex. I came in this game, I was ready to wreck. This is not about to be what you expect. Monster Wood Hunter, I roll like 2 racks. I know I'll be talking, but this is a fact. Exploring my topics, you'll see the effect. I'm getting it. Hands on spinning it. Whoa, you never know when I might be coming out next. I'm finding all the problems I'm stacking around my deck. I'm seeing all my problems resolved and that's not the test. I know I got the power, I see what I could possess. I'm not even gonna say that I possibly could be next. But really all in all, I know that I'm getting blessed. God been pushing me in and showing me every step. I'm learning on the way and I feel like I'm a success. But I gotta stay level-headed, because I know that I'm just up and down, and I need to find ways to continue. You know that I'm about to come off of something. I got the brains and I'm moving like Einstein. I've been cranking it up and I feel like it's about to be shine time. Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning. Come and skip me to my first flight. My first flight out of Earth's sight. Think it's about time I get up out my way. This is so free, I'm about to change my whole being as I'm exploring more meaning.
Social distancing variety hour. Man, Jordy the
Traveler, friend of the program.
Dude, like, I haven't seen Jordy in a long time, but it looks like he finally got through puberty. Boy looks all grown. Boy looks all grown up in that video. No lie. No.
You know,
lie.
I took my first Uber in months and months and months tonight, and I was so excited at the prospect that Jordy might drive me home tonight. It wasn't Jordy. I was so disappointed that it wasn't Jordy. Like, Jordy, what are you doing, Jordy?
He's making cool videos and looking fly as fuck. That's what Jordy's doing now. Man, he lost the baby fat and everything. Good on him. He's Adam. I'm Michael, and our guest tonight is John Persinger. John, welcome to Social Distancing Variety Hour.
Hi, John.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
How you
most
doing?
definitely. Thank you for being with us.
Let's do some bona fides, because everything that we talk about after this point will make more sense if people know who you are, in case they don't. And we have a very diverse group of people that watch this, and they don't.
Some
half of them can't read.
Might not know.
Yeah. So like, but give us a little bit about you. But like, start growing up. Like, we'll get into the adult shit, but like, talk about where you come from, and in the least political way you can do it.
Sure. So I grew up right outside New York City. My mom's from Erie. My dad's from Charleston, West Virginia. They met in Washington, D.C., and a headhunter found my dad and invited him up to interview for a job in New York. And they ended up living there for 30, 40 years. I left New Jersey in the late 90s after high school, went up to college in Boston, went down to DC to work for a bit, then went to Australia to work for a bit, and then came back. When I was in Australia, I met my wife down there. She was a journalist working for one of Australia's biggest newspapers. We came back to the US, and I went to law school out at Notre Dame in South Bend. We had our first daughter in my second year. And my wife was pregnant with our second daughter in my third and final year. And so when we were looking at where to go after law school, we were looking around and wasn't really interested in going back to a big city, doing big law. I'd been in DC, had grown up on New York. My wife had come from, right before she came back to Australia, she was in Beirut, Lebanon. So she'd been in the big city, and for us with little ones, we just wanted a more family-friendly environment. And we had pretty much all my mom's side. There's about like 20, 25 on my mom's side here in Erie. And so interviewed with a local law firm and got hired. So came here right after law school, and I was practicing law with McDonnell Dillig, doing a variety of work, working with all types of small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs. And then in the non-political way, decided to run for mayor in 2017. And
it's a non-political. It's a non-political.
Is that we're paying attention? Didn't work out.
although
Well,
kind
of did, John. Kind of did work out.
I mean,
you've
done all right for yourself,
because now. Yeah, you've got none of the responsibility. No one's knocking on your door demanding shit. You just get to do what you ever. Yeah, but you just get to do what you do. You got this. So, had you been to Erie as a child? Like, had you come to the peninsula and Waldemere and shit, and like been around here? Yeah,
every summer. That was our summer. Came to visit my parents and cousins.
And like you're
awesome summer vacation.
You're being real like self-effacing about like, oh, I went to Australia for this thing, but like you went to Australia and you were working for the ambassador's office in Australia.
I worked out of our embassy, which was in Canberra, and I was there for about 2.5 years. Great experience. The Australians, I would say, are our closest allies because there's so much that they are.
They're an island of criminals that committed genocide. Of course they'd love us.
You beat me to it.
Well, things kind of like behind the scenes that the Australian and the U.S. governments are working on. When I was there were, and when we were just back, there were these terrible forest fires, bushfires in Australia. So there were four firefighters from Idaho who would come out to kind of help with the fires and share kind of best practices. And so there are all types of different things that the two governments were working on, which kept it busy for us. But what was, I think, the most interesting part about being down there is it opened my eyes to the Asia Pacific region. So I think like here in the US, we look internally, like we focus on what's happening internally.
Sure.
And I think we look east to Europe next, because mainly on the East Coast, you're closer to Europe and because of historical ties. But in Australia, they look north to the Asia Pacific. They really consider themselves part of the Asia Pacific. So learned a ton about the big countries, China, Japan, Korea, but also some of those smaller countries, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, Fiji, and there's a lot of interesting things happening in the Asia Pacific, particularly that time that I was there. So it was great, really great learning experience.
I want to touch on this because when you have seen brush fires in Australia that were historically bad and still have been this year, and then you see the forest fires on the West Coast here in the United States and in Colorado, like, do you still support a party that supports fracking and that kind of positioning? Like, is it too, because I was touching on this earlier, is it too hard to tact away from those kind of, like, you know, polling points and these plot points that you've been talking about for the need for fossil fuels and these kinds of things? But, you know, man, like, you've seen it firsthand and how bad it is and what it devastates. And, like, is it just too hard to do it from the inside now because that's just, you've locked yourself there? Like, is it hard to maintain two ideas at the same time, just on this point? But environmentally, seeing what's going on and having seen it from it, because they cover shit way different than the news does here, you know, and they are like a homogenous population as opposed to, but man, like, when you see that shit go on, does it make you say, like, you know, what is there going to be to play politics if I'm not looking at the environmental stuff, especially because you got kids?
So it was an interesting experience going down to Canberra. When I first arrived, it was the fall of 2006. So I arrived like right before Thanksgiving in November of 2006, and they were having some bad bushfires in that area during that time. They were starting to pull back on the sort of notifications and advisories for the embassy staff. You know, they had to pack basically a to-go bag in case, because some of these, it's a pretty sprawling area. And so some of these neighborhoods are pretty stretched out and on the outskirts of town, close to where they have bushfires. It's pretty interesting. Like, Australia's the population now, I think it may be around 30 million, but it's the geographic size of the United States. So here we've got 330 million. So there's a lot of open land, a lot of space in between cities, towns, even neighborhoods. And so when I arrived there was that, there were those advisories in place. You know, neighborhoods could get potentially swept up. They still had advisories and sort of requirements limiting water usage, because part of what's causing those fires is a drought out there. And so we can, not that I was going to wash my car. I didn't have a lawn to water. They said, can't water your lawn. You're supposed to limit the showers you're supposed to take. I don't want to get too crassy. I know you guys keep it classy on the show here.
Yeah.
But
oh no,
regulate your toilet flushing.
No, please, like, go Scarface tonight, man. I want to see it. I want the kids to make gifs of you cussing and show their younger siblings. Yeah, let loose, man. Be you. If nothing else, be you tonight. Let the city know who you really are. Yeah, but I mean, I asked because, like, we're on a Great Lake, the greatest of the Great Lakes, if you ask me, and it's fresh water, and there's not going to be a lot of that about. So, I mean, for us to, so you could sort out your home if you need to.
I can't tell if the dog just got sick in its cage. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, sick dogs.
Yeah.
Come on out, Presley. Come on. Don't lick that. Come on.
Dog got sick in its cage.
Don't lick that.
We should start taking on. We should get that on T-shirts.
Yeah.
Social distancing variety hour. Don't lick that.
I've got a whole like mental list running of things that we should put on T-shirts.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
We got a wired hair dachshund.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, it just got sick. So just give me a second.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Take care of your dog. We'll fill time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're professionals. We know how to fill time. Yeah.
Plus the thought of him cleaning up dog vomit and then the chance that it might be wafting into his like area every once in a while while we're talking to him is awesome.
That's good television right there. I got a list of I've got a mental list going of things that would make good T-shirt slogans for social distancing variety hour. That had not been on the list until tonight, but that could be real spicy. My
Super
favorite
spicy.
My favorite I think is still from the episode with Tyler Titus, making white men sweaty since 2020. That's I think that's still my favorite. So when and if we make shirts, which I mean we will.
Plus the two of us sweat all the fucking time. So if we were wearing those and nobody knew but us.
Right. I mean, it's still like, even if we don't have any white men on the show, which my favorite shows are the shows that don't have white men on them, apart from you and me. I mean, they've all got you and me on them.
Well,
so,
obviously. We're barely there.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry about that. It's always something in our house.
Well,
no, it's cool.
My cat is walking down the stairs behind me. You can see him over my shoulder. So I understand that. Like,
sometimes Adam's stupid children fucking come down in the middle of a show. We
definitely
don't
happens.
keep it.
We're an intrusion friendly kind of show. Like
we're the only local broadcast interview that you can do that is owned wholly in Erie. So we're not owned by some outside conglomerate. So if you need to go take care of that, you can go take care of that because we don't have to serve some fucking master and cut you off and try to keep you on track. We're gonna talk, John. That's why I was so glad you're here.
We'll listen to your dog puking. We'll talk shit about it the whole time, and then you can come back, and then we can have a conversation about it. And that's the kind of show we run here. So, yeah.
Let's recalibrate. Yeah. So let's get back to you now. So, obviously because you ran as a Republican, you were going to lose, but losing it, faith. But, no, I mean, it's Chinatown, Jake, but I mean, you kind of like, I've read quotes where you kind of knew that going in and were like, the margin of error was good. Like you had a really good showing. Like I'm not dogging you on that.
Yeah. Like the way
that was just, it could have been, a lesser man would have fucking not even been close. The guy running against Bizarro that no one knows his name. Like you just, there's just some shit that just doesn't happen.
His name is Greg Hayes. I've said that 2 shows in a row now. I mean, he's still a garbage
Every time I see a sign, I'm just like who the fuck? Oh,
is that guy?
That's the guy running against Bizarro. Good luck.
Then you
lost to Schember too. Like that's a double kick in the crotch, man. What a stuffed shirt that this town didn't deserve. At least you had ideas. So anyway, but lo and behold, it used to be in America. You lost an election and you went back in your cave, and that was the end of you. Not no more. So you lose an election. And then magically, suddenly, you're the chief executive officer of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Like, how? I mean, I know you're on a beach in Florida and phone calls happen and shit, but I mean, like, how does that happen? Is it the connection? Is it just the exposure? I mean, the same way that Julie Slomsky gets all the national support when Chrissy Genebis has a better shot if she'd have money. But anyway, like, was it just the prior connection? It was like, oh, you did an admirable job running. You took the hit.
No, no, I think obviously it helped, right? So,
Sure.
I'm not naive to think like the performance during the campaign helped in the job interview process as opposed to just having been practicing law. So,
Right.
The job itself has like so many different components. Real estate, architecture, construction, finance, legal, business, retail, hospitality, community engagement, communications, diplomacy, political.
You're like the Jared Kushner of Erie. Here's a bunch of fucking jobs. Now get them done.
You can let that go.
There's a lot to it. And so I think when I was interviewing, they kind of took a look at my background and saw that I had a little bit of experience in all these different areas. And Erie's a tough town. You guys know this.
Yeah.
It's tough to break through. It's tough to get things done. It's tough.
Oh yeah, and being here every summer, like that's not enough time to ingest the water to,
Yeah.
Like I wasn't born here, so I had like a 4 or 5 year start on not, doing it, and then after high school I was gone for a long time. So I've got just enough that I can fit in. But yeah, you haven't been here, and it's all like, clicky, and people are a little slow.
Like I've only been here since '94, and it's still like I didn't go to parochial school with the right people, so I'm not really from Erie. So like it's tough to imagine.
Yeah, like you're always an outsider, man.
Like I mean,
how long does it take you to get introduced to the right people at Erie Club?
It's funny. I forget who I was telling this to, but I said in some places they ask like where you went to college to kind of get a sense of like where you're coming from. Some places they ask where you went to high school. I think Erie is one of those places where they ask where you went to grade school.
Right.
And so because I didn't go to grade school here, even though my family's been here since '52, still doesn't matter. I will still be an outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like that alone from that thing, do you think you're better off? And not just in an experiential kind of way, but because you don't, like you don't owe your allegiance to Brian because he, kicked your bully's ass in first grade at St. Joe's, like whatever, like you're good on that. So is it easier, but is it still like,
well, and you're not
when they're not returning your phone calls and shit.
Well, you're not beholden to your boys from the neighborhood. Like, I don't want to name names of other, Erie politicians, but like there's definitely
every fucking Erie politician, every single fucking one of them.
Well,
every one of them is there because of their,
most of them, but like there's definitely people
because of their people.
There's definitely people who play on. Okay, I'll name a name. Tom Carney. But you got people who definitely play on like I'm a dude from the neighborhood. I went to Catholic school with your uncle, and I'm just Uncle Joe from the block, and like. Does it give you something that you're not, like I said, like you're not beholden to your dudes from the neighborhood who you've gone to school with since the third grade, which like there's definitely an element of that in Erie politics and always has been. That's like our dads were on city council together, and now we're on city council together, and so let's continue the legacy of all that. And I mean, is there something in being being free of that generational cycle of years and decades of Erie politics?
When I was at the law firm, it was definitely a hindrance because it was tough to get work. It was interesting. It was like the only place I've ever been where there was less concern about my background and accomplishments, and more concerned about kind of like who I knew and who my family was.
Right.
In this job, I think it may be a little bit to my advantage. I knew taking on this job, there'd be some tough decisions. Like if we were going to get things done, people were going to be upset, because when you're making decisions, either one way or the other, people are going to be upset.
Sure.
And so I kind of knew going into this job, like was going to have to make some hard decisions. People would not be happy, but if I ran out of town, that's okay, because
I'm not from here anyway.
Because you're not from here, and none of your childhood friends are here.
So I've been in other cities where I've been able to be successful, and I kind of knew that I could go to another city and still have a good career and raise a family and be happy. So,
I've been running out of better towns than this.
That should be your next campaign T-shirt.
John Persinger. I've been running out of better towns than this.
So
I better not have to throw a royalty your way if I use that.
No.
Just send we'll forget. We'll forget we said it.
I'll remember. Just send me a shirt and we're cool.
Cool. I may actually have some leftover Persinger for Mayor T-shirts.
No, I'm not.
I will wear those unironically all the time. All the time. Just when you came onto the scene, you're an interesting figure to me because you're smart, and like you're not in that like uppity kind of bitch smart that a lot of people that go to universities like Notre Dame and shit are. You're well traveled, you're connected. Your parents were probably CIA assets, and that's why you get to gallivant all over. But I mean, like you're a totally different cat to be carpetbagging in a place like Erie. And I guess I understand the family connection and the family, because it's cheap as shit. And some of the school districts are good. Yeah. So as long as you're in the right one, everything's okay. But so now you're here, and like there's a lot of old money and there's a lot of family names on the EDDC board. There's the same people that have been around forever, because that's just how Erie is. It's not a knock on them. It's just the truth. And suddenly now it's time to redevelop downtown. Like, I mean, I saw, I interned at the Erie Times in '96, and they had been doing analysis on the Bayfront. And this was before, the tower and everything else, like when it was just the dock and smugglers,
Yeah. And brownfields.
And yeah, but they wanted to like brick it up and do all this stuff and give it like a Baltimore, like here's a club and here's knickknacks and here's a restaurant kind of deal. But it never went anywhere. And now it's a convention center and hotels that people from Erie don't stay at and can't afford to anyway.
Right.
But I think about that a lot because of how inexpensive it would have been in 1996 to really make that move, when there was a lot of money about and anything could have been done, and it would have been, something that could have by now would have been established.
Right.
And so I get that part of it, especially for a downtown that's absolutely been neglected, and just, like for everything everyone says about Nick Scott, like fuck him and his money, because he took it all to Summit because he wasn't getting the deals he wanted in Erie. And he just took all the money out of here, and he just didn't win, but he kill and just decimated our downtown. And so I get it, but like, why now? And why like this? What is it that's right now to make it work?
So I'm going to I'll answer that, but I want to get kind of a roundabout way because I've heard you kind of talk about this before, and it's like generations have kind of just coasted here.
Yeah,
they've just kind of been asleep at the wheel, and I've talked about that openly with during the campaign, and with our board members, is that we've had 60 years of economic and population decline, and it's like no one thought to do anything after 5 years. Or after 15 years, or even after 30 years, it's like 60 years. We finally, wake up, and so it's frustrating from that perspective. Like there are times when I look at what we are doing, and it's going to help downtown, but we need a lot more in this community. And one of the frustrations and worries is that have we dug ourselves like too deep of a hole, and that we won't climb out of. So that part, to like look back and at past history here and think about all the decisions that were made or not made or nothing was done, that's frustrating. Why, now, why is it different? I think you're seeing more leadership out of Erie Insurance. I think they've stepped up and corralled the private sector and sort of the philanthropic sector to be more proactive.
Is that good though? Like,
Wait, put a pin in that. Please put a pin in that. Like John, please keep going because you're on a roll on this, and and if we start talking about Erie Insurance, I'm gonna bust a blood vessel. So John, go ahead.
We'll go down.
So yeah, they've been corralling the investment and getting the private involved, and so
and I don't know why there's just like a vacuum of leadership in the past, whether on the political side.
Because your seat was safe. Your seat was safe every fucking year. That's why.
Yeah.
And this same people got the same money, Yeah, on both sides. That's why there's nothing, Same rich people. It was same rich people.
Well, there was no both sides. I mean, like Erie literally has not had any Republican leadership since the 60s. And I mean, I say this as not a Republican, as you might have noticed if you've ever seen the show, but it's
I appreciate all the comments about the EDC too.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you've done.
That's what we wanted to have you on because I felt shitty.
Like, has he been?
I
watching?
felt shitty not doing it to your
face. Does he know? Is it okay? Like, okay, like, all right, good. Glad you know.
Yeah,
but like,
we're getting you a curling hat too, Michael. By the way.
Oh please, please, yeah, please. Oh man,
you got to come down to McDonald's to get it.
Yeah, pretty soon when I lose my Commonwealth job and I'm houseless, I'll go hang out at the old McDonald's and drink coffee.
Free coffee if you don't have a job.
Yeah. So I mean, but here we are. Like, there was a shit ton of property available all at this magic time that you guys had all this money to buy stuff up. Like, it's crazy.
It was not available. And so
you own it.
And so this is part of the problem here with the economics. So like someone gave me the advice, don't pay more than 10, 15% of property values. We've paid like 500, 600, 700% of these values.
Yeah.
Because we are not a governmental entity. We don't have the power of eminent domain. We could only get these properties if we made them an offer they couldn't refuse. And I mean, that's unfortunately what we had to do. That's been part of the problem here is that, people sat on their properties. They didn't put any money into them. And in a way I kind of understand because we're going through this process now. So on North Park Row, we've got several properties. Former Park Place, Sherlock's, and Dispatch buildings. We're turning into food hall and public market, which would be a fully functioning grocery store, some apartments up above. We are going to spend $21.6 million to acquire and renovate those buildings. We just got an appraisal done on them about 2-3 weeks ago. When those properties are turned around and stabilized and fully leased out, their value is $7.7 million. So we're taking a 70% loss, like straight out of the gates. So if you were shopping for a house and there was a house that was $30,000, would you pay the homeowner $100,000 for that house?
So
no, it makes no economic sense. So that's one of the challenges that we're dealing with.
So what's in it for you guys?
This is for me, I mean, helping out the community, because I don't have an ownership stake in any of these properties.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean, this is somebody's money. This is private money. Like, this is not,
correct.
This is not a governmental entity who's investing in these properties for the good of the community. Like, this is a group of private individuals, and like, it doesn't take a whole lot of work to know who they are. But like, what's in it for these private individuals to spend what on paper appears to be triple what these properties are worth to acquire these properties?
So our board organizations are making a long-term bet on Erie. Most of these are businesses that are located here or have a presence here. They selfishly have to be able to recruit and retain employees. And so that's really what's motivating them, because it's not financial. They can go get better real estate deals or other investment deals most other places in the country. And so that's really what's motivating them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, at what point gentrification? Like, at what point is it that, like, you should pay better wages to your fucking workers, and you should have them live downtown in a better, like, you should pay people, from custodial on up. And like, you should have been, I mean, UPMC, but Hammett's been around forever. Erie Insurance isn't some spring chicken company in this town.
No.
Like, they're part of the reason that this shit's like this anyways, because they've been letting this stuff happen. So, I mean, like,
hold that thought. My battery's running out. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Save it.
General chaos in the Persinger all the time.
If this is political, he's so slick. Getting his dog sick and then letting the power go out right as we're getting into shit that he doesn't want to talk about.
Oh.
His battery did die, though.
His battery did die.
Or the chicanery's better than we think. This guy's a professional.
But
I can't believe he's watched the show and he came on.
I'm impressed that he's watched the show and he came on, because like, you and I have had the conversation like in the last few weeks since I was like, I asked him and he said yes, and we were like, does he know what he's getting himself into? Because like, we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's an educated professional. Like, we're a couple of fucking hicks to him. Like, we're just the rubes that we call everyone else. He's a professional. He knows what he's getting into. He's not afraid of us.
I don't know.
God, let's do a shout out to Douglas Bailey.
Yes.
Local artist and beautiful human.
Yeah.
Man, Doug Bailey, like, from the moment I met this gentleman, it was like meeting Sean Clark.
Okay.
It was like I knew at the first moment that we met that I had a friend for life on a whole different level.
I mean, I met Sean Clark
the first time I met him.
I met Sean Clark when I was 15, so that was a little bit different for me. But
yeah, that's a little bit different for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sean and I didn't have that opportunity. Right. But Douglas Bailey's a solid citizen on a whole bunch of levels, but he has been nothing but gracious with his support for this show and what he's done. So shout out to him. John's making his way back to us, babe.
I think he is.
With a burning love.
While we're talking about Doug Bailey, Doug Bailey yesterday put on the Seek 814 Community Art Drop Project, which was lots of artists of all sorts of persuasions, including myself, dropping some artwork all over town for go find it. Like, people were leaving clues about where artwork was to be found. Go find it. It's yours for the keeping. I made 3 tapes and dropped them at various places all over town. Only one of the 3 tapes so far that I know of has been claimed. So there's still a couple of one-of-a-kind one-wayness cassettes out there in the wild to be found. So check the socials. Check
the socials.
Yeah,
Find yourself a one. Is it one-wayness, or is it some special other thing that you do?
No, it's one-wayness. It's I made 3 tapes of unique stuff that was just direct out of the instruments and onto the tape here in the basement studio, and then Kiddos and I made some special artwork for them, and then we went and hid them out in the world. There were 3 of them. They're all kind of the same, but they're also all kind of different. One of the 3 got claimed today, and there's still 2 out there in the world. One person found one of them yesterday and was like, "This is cool. I don't have a tape player. I'm just gonna
put it back."
This is neat. I'm putting this back. So yeah, one of them did get picked up, examined, noticed, put back yesterday. But that one, the last I knew at least, was still out there in the wild. So, yeah, check the.
That's kind of like my love life.
Examined and put back. But yeah, check the socials. Check hashtag Seek814 for artwork involved in the Seek814 Community Art Drop Project. There's probably
there's
still other stuff.
There's
out
lots
there
of cool
to be
people
found,
doing
too.
it. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doug
I don't know what's
Bailey
going on with
also-
John's camera.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I can see you guys both and hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we can't even see you. You're
We
just a
can-
blank screen, but
we
I
can-
can hear you.
We can hear you
doing
but
it, but there's no camera.
Should I log off and log back in?
Probably.
Yeah, go ahead.
That'll
Go ahead.
probably
Go
help.
do that.
Do you need?
You know what?
Yeah.
Why don't we get into a short film, and you can go smoke a cigarette. And then we can hopefully get John back in here. Oh, John's back. Never mind. I was gonna let Michael smoke a cigarette, but now you're back.
No, we're good. No. This is more important.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste your time, John. You're an actual busy man. So
you're way nicer than I am.
Dealing with dog vomit and
honestly though,
haven't been charged.
Yeah, that's well, but it shows your human side, John.
Yeah,
it really does. It shows that you're just like us. That you've got problems just like the everyday people do too.
Republicans, they're just like us.
So, I mean, so you've seen it. So you lose an election and then all of a sudden you're fucking redoing the city. At what point, not subversion of democracy, but at the same time, to get back to the question, at what point gentrification? At what point is it just remaking downtown? And I've said this before, but when you're driving on the Lower East Side, you know where there's an Erie Insurance building because your tires are just straight drive because there's, freshly laid asphalt. Any other place, it's blah, 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 blah. But, there's a couple of key conditions here that I don't understand. I understand the need for public-private partnership, but this is just outright. It doesn't matter what you pay. The money's not real. I mean, the Erie Insurance stuff, the UPMC stuff. Gannon is a real estate hedge fund more than a university at this point. They've got all kinds of money to throw at you. So, what do you say about that?
How do you
it'll be new and shiny.
How do you make the decisions of what to do with other people's money?
So let me start by saying, like, we're only working on 12 properties on 3 blocks in downtown. And I think sort of like our legend is maybe bigger than what we actually do. And I think, part of it, I get your point, is like I ran for mayor, I was seen as like the runner up. And so this was like a token gesture. And what I've been clear about from the beginning is like, we're not.
Oh no, I don't think it's a token gesture.
Deputy mayor. I'm not like an alternative government or an alternative city hall here. I was hired by a private organization to revitalize a few properties downtown. Well, there's a lot that this city needs in addition to revitalized properties.
Well, I mean, it was real at the same time.
Sure, but
at the same time, it was real interesting that, like, literally before Schember took office, like before he was sworn in, he was already saying that, like, he was looking forward to partnering with Erie Downtown Development Corporation. So, like, literally before the guy who beat you became mayor, he was already on board for partnering with you. So
I didn't take the job until March.
Well, right, so and I understand that. That's
right,
maybe,
but I mean,
yeah. But it was basically like he already recognized, like he was already on board for.
Yeah, would we be watching you not wear a mask in public and him fucking up the EDDC if you'd won and he'd lost?
No, we would not. I was talking to my dad because my dad is friends with Schember. My dad used to work with Schember in the 90s, and he was asking me, because, like, I saw my mom and dad this weekend, and he was asking me like so how is Joe doing? Like, he's doing all right. But yeah, like I feel like if Joe Schember had not won, had somehow, due to some demographic anomaly, not won the election, because that's what it is.
Throwing a bunch of ballots in a creek or something.
Right.
And not attributed to like the hard work of the candidate.
No one legitimately wins races in Erie. Come on, get out of here.
No offense. No offense. But
yeah, no offense.
Yeah.
John, I want you to know that I respect you so much. I really do. Like, I think you are you're perfectly positioned to be whatever comes out of the ashes of the Republican plane that's crashing, that's just like flying too low and the trees are getting caught in the engines and shit's bad. Like, to come out of it, I think you'll be clean as a whistle on that end. But I'm too liberal in all of my other thinking to ever consider voting in your direction. But like, I respect you as a human being and know how smart and genuine you are. But I can't help thinking that a lot of times money just makes smart and intelligent people like do shit that ain't right. And, like, I know it's 12 properties on 3 blocks, but it's 3 blocks that make up the heart of this fucking city. And every time something's been done here, it's not been the way that they said, like putting the Bayfront connector together. And this was during a Democratic administration because they all were. But
yeah,
I mean, putting the Bayfront connector, they gentrified the Lower East Side. Then they couldn't make it work. And then they fucked it all up. And they said there'll never be a stoplight on it. There'll never be a business on it. This is going to be a faster way to get around our fucked up infrastructure through the city, because 12th Street had potholes that would swallow a car, So they were going to build this super highway to connect, and it would just be easy to get from place to place. And now it's just another traffic that's all backed up, and there's stupid hotels and not enough bars and restaurants on it. And it's just a boondoggle, and it didn't help the city one iota. The convention center was sold as this new thing that was going to bring all these big conferences to town, and all these movers and shakers were going to come here, and they were going to look at the bay, and they were going to see Erie and be like, we should move our company here. And now we got
And
dinosaurs on roller skates and the same shit that they were putting at the Tulio Convention Center there. And the public here gets nothing from it.
We got the dog show that used to be at JMC Arena. Like it's, and you know, we had friends in town a couple weeks ago. We had friends in town who live in like Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, and like you were, it's interesting. You were talking about, Michael. You were talking about Baltimore and Inner Harbor and how like that was the vision in the '90s for what Erie's Bayfront could be. Like we had friends in town from the other end of the state a few weeks ago, and they were kind of surprised that that's not what it was. That like we have this resource, and that we haven't made that out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, just to continue, the Boston store, that's another thing. When they turned that into apartments, it was supposed to be so they could, you know, get a population downtown that would start being young professionals and living downtown, and that didn't work out. And the Arby's condos that were supposed to start bringing all these people downtown to pay $250,000 to fucking look at a lit up fucking Arby's hat all night.
Well,
just bask in the orange glow. All this shit's been promised and been done over and over again.
You do get free smells. You do get the free curly fries.
Yeah, man, I mean, honestly, all right, sold. That's where I'm moving. Yeah. That's what next week. That's where the show's coming from, because I hear they're still all open. But I mean, like, this shit just keeps happening, John. And like, Erie is the king of tripping over its own little dick every time it tries to do something good. But every time it does something good, it doesn't help us. It helps them. It doesn't help the city. It helps somebody. Like, doing this shit's going to help Erie Insurance. It's going to help UPMC. It's going to help Gannon. But it's not going to help the city of Erie. It's not going to change, you know.
Well, and it's
like,
not,
manufacturing's not coming back to 12th Street because of this.
And it's not going to help the residents of downtown.
So I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the kind words, the respect. I do appreciate that. I appreciate
man, for real.
From the end of the last show about my testicular fortitude. That that might actually go on a future campaign T-shirt if there ever is one.
All right.
That's all yours. Yeah. Just send Adam a T-shirt.
I see where there are other developments or proposed developments that have not as much of an impact on the community as it could. And so I'm aware about that. And that's definitely kind of a filter through which we're looking at these projects downtown. And I think you take a look at what we're leading with, food hall and a public market. So food hall, we're gonna have 9 local vendors. I don't know if you saw the announcement from the other day. We announced 8 of the 9 vendors. They're all local chefs, restaurateurs,
nice.
All local businesses. So what we're doing with that project, we're going to outfit the vendor stalls with all the equipment. They're not going to have to pay for any of the standard equipment. If they have specialized equipment that they need, that might be on them. But we're going to provide all the equipment. We're going to cover all the utilities. We're going to take care of the common areas. We're going to do the maintenance, the trash. They just need to come in and do what they do best, which is cook great meals. And we've got some really talented individuals in this community who we found through the open application process. Right now, trying to start a food and beverage like a restaurant is really challenging. We're actually struggling with it too, because the forecast for food and beverage isn't great right now because of COVID.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah. So think about, a commercial kitchen can cost mid to, low to mid 6 figures.
Sure.
I was just looking at invoices the other day. We're putting in a hood in one of these vendor stalls. An additional one can cost up to $176,000. So think of if you're a chef, you're running you're apprenticing somewhere, or maybe you're helping out with a food truck. You want to go start your own place.
Yeah.
Where do you get that money to start that? So the fact that we're able to borrow that money, create this ground floor, and take care of just about everything, and just allow you to come in and get cooking straight away is a huge opportunity for these vendors. Shawarma Station, which is Middle Eastern food truck, group of refugees from Syria. They're coming in. Natasha Paisley cooks out of the Booker T. Washington Center. She's coming in with a soul food and seafood fusion concept. Lucky Louie's is going to bring sort of a second restaurant operation downtown. We got Straw Hat Ice Cream Shop coming from Northeast. They're going to do ice cream and hybrid of Mighty Fine Donuts and Penn State ice cream and donut ice cream sandwiches.
Okay.
We have a woman, Crystal Robinson. She is a first-time entrepreneur. She's doing all things fruit and veggie, and it's a vegan, vegetable, fruit concept. So great opportunity for these vendors. We're also on the other side of that block going to put in a public market. We call it a public market, but it's basically a fully functioning grocery store. Downtown is one of the U.S. Department of Agriculture designated food deserts. You know, if you're down there, your options are Dollar General, Rite Aid, which
right. But again, that's another thing. Like, that's been forever.
Yeah.
You know, that's been forever. So I know you've read the studies because you're a smart man, and I read the studies because
that was on our list of things to talk about tonight. Let's talk about food deserts.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing up food deserts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then let's talk about the food vendors, because, yes, it costs a lot of money to start up a restaurant, but I mean, I don't know. You've walked around Erie Insurance more than I have because you got to shake hands and shit. But how many people from there are eating soul food, you know? And so those people have got to come from the neighborhoods, and the people of color in this community already don't feel welcome in Perry Square, and that shit's not going to change overnight. And so you eliminate a certain section of the risk, but the threat and the success rate of food stalls, I mean, this shit it's hardly working in New Orleans. You know, it's barely working in Raleigh, Durham. There's so much turnover, you know, there's so much that can go wrong because and especially it's Erie, man. If somebody's wife has a bad quesadilla, people stop going to the fucking restaurant, you know?
Yeah.
They stop going there. So if someone says one bad thing, or one customer felt that they were rude to at one food stall, their shit's over. And you're going to put 9 of them in the same place. So not only are they competing for that, but they're competing for, against each other at the same time. And you've got to have success, because if you don't have success, then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from all the shenanigans you guys are doing. So, I mean, is there this magical thinking? Is UPMC going to get that big? Is Erie Insurance going to get that big that they're building all their condos along 4th Street, and then all those people are going to come eat at food stalls every day at North Park Row? Are Gannon students going to be enough to facilitate that?
Right now there's 15,000, I think it was 600 people who are living and working downtown every day. And so there's that population there. But to your point, no, we got to be intentional about how we drive traffic down there. So we know we have to do specific events and activities, things like the curling league, which I'm sorry got canceled because of COVID, and we'll resume it at some point.
I'm not. Best thing about this pandemic was getting rid of fucking curling. This town is so fucking stupid to let you just how much do you laugh to yourself at night? Sometimes when you're in the shower and you're scrubbing your back, do you just think these fucking rubes, all you had to give them was curling, and we could just take all this property and do what the fuck we want with it. And all we had to give them was some fucking curling. They're throwing rocks down ice, drinking beer. They don't give a shit.
I don't know.
We can run this town. This year it's 12 properties. Next year it's 48.
I totally wanted to play curling. I don't know.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fucking rube.
So hopefully we will also do live music series, which we want to do. We think that'd be a great way to get people downtown. We did sponsor Life Through Music. I don't know if you know
Corey
Cook.
Yeah, a little bit.
They did an event. There was this overgrown weed garden in between the art museum and the children's museum. We just asked them if we could clean it up. And they said, sure. So we landscaped it, brought in some art from Evan Everhart, who's a metal artist.
Yeah. Evan's a good friend.
Yeah. So
Evans put his piece all over town.
So Corey came in and performed with his band. Some of the students performed, and it was a great night. It was a summer night, and we had 50, 75 people sitting outside enjoying it. So we hope to do more things like that, which are intentional to get people downtown, a diverse array of activities to make people feel welcome downtown.
So,
because we know not everyone comes downtown.
Who are the people that you want to get downtown?
This is really tricky. If you're marketing a product, your market. You're marketing to, look at this panel, white men between the ages of 35 and 45. Like, it's pretty simple. That is really simple.
Yeah.
For us, we're trying to bring the whole community down there, which makes it challenging to figure out what type of events and activities. Somebody likes curling. Someone else doesn't like curling. Someone likes Spanish Red. Someone likes whiskey. So are we bringing in a wine bar? Or are we bringing in a whiskey bar?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge trying to make sure that.
And then you got the people who live downtown who
correct
don't give a shit about curling and probably can't afford a wine bar or a whiskey bar. And like, how do you make the events that you're putting on and the businesses that you're putting into your spaces, like, are they serving the people who live downtown, or are they serving the people who you're trying to bring downtown?
So it's a bit of both, but we do know that we're in a neighborhood where people live, and some of those individuals may be in more challenging socioeconomic circumstances. So one of the things that we're going to require of the vendors in the market is that they accept SNAP, so that the folks who are living down there are able to afford a stable supply of fresh, healthy food and don't feel like they have to go to Dollar General or Rite Aid.
I mean, again, but I got to ask, like, would it make more sense if UPMC and Erie Insurance and Gannon, like, paid their custodial staff and, like, paid their, their lower wage workers more money? Wouldn't that do more for downtown? Because I know more people that sweep floors and cook food at Gannon that live downtown than I do professors. And I sure as fuck don't know anybody on the board of Gannon that lives downtown. So, I mean, like, wouldn't it behoove those companies to not be buying up property and to reinvesting in their, lower wage or lower skilled workers that actually live in the community?
It might. I don't know the economics of every individual board organization. We got 18. But at the same time, then who's going to invest in these properties?
Well, I mean, but like, there was shit there. Like, Kautai was there. Casablanca Hookah Bar is there.
Yeah.
Like, Tandoori Hut is there. I mean, Sherlock's and Park Place were there. And,
I mean,
no one invested in them when they were there.
The properties just kept going downhill. Property value declining.
Sherlock spent a lot
of time. Right, but you still overpaid for it.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I told you that. That was because we had to, because they weren't looking to sell, so.
Well, right, but I mean, like, you overpaid for all of it,
Oh, yeah.
Like, but I mean, like, yeah, but.
We did.
But, John, at that point, yeah, who gives a fuck about money? Like, you overpaid for all. Well, no, but you overpaid for all of it when it all could have fallen into disrepair and been bought by individuals. It all could have been, or it just fell away, and then we had to deal with it on, like, city council would have had to deal with it, or the mayor's office would have had to deal with it. right? But I'm saying like
Are they
you
gonna deal
over,
with it?
but that's what I'm saying. Like you guys overpaid for all of it. So what's
we also
yeah,
walked away from deals that they were asking too much. So we did have a threshold. So I will say that we walked away from several deals where they were asking too much. Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't afford it because we couldn't absolutely make the numbers work.
Well, right, but I mean, you're still spending like millions of dollars downtown, and that's just the acquisition. That's not even the upgrade. Like,
Correct.
you know, like is fiber optics moving in downtown?
What do
Is
you
that happening? Like, is like, will all these properties be wired for fiber optics? Like, when eventually there's apartments above this like magic multicultural market, that's where the McDonald's used to be. Like, will they have fiber? I mean, like, are we upgrading everything? Like, is everything eco-friendly? Like, is there grass on the roofs? Is there, you know, like,
you're talking infrastructure?
Is there thought into the future?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we did is we were able to get the city, RACB, a grant from the Commonwealth to.
So not private money because it's taxpayer dollars, but yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. Just pointing that out.
Yeah. So to bring in, they're gonna do some streetscaping, open up the sidewalks, and that'll enable VelocityNet to bring down, broadband down here. I heard some stat, I forget who was telling me this. 35% of the people in downtown have an internet connection. So it's one of the things where, yeah, I mean, we've got the money to encourage them to invest, but that's going to be a spillover benefit to people who are living down here.
Well, then why not just make a hub and give free Wi-Fi to the fucking city? Like, wouldn't that, if that's such a thing that's going to work this little deal, then wouldn't the people at Erie Insurance be a lot better recognized by people like me if they just were like, you know what? Instead of this shit, like, here's free Wi-Fi to help all these people because it's kind of a human right, according to some countries.
You know,
so at this point, to have 35%, like, would you not feel guilty making millions of dollars and investing in all this property in a city where only 35% of the population has internet?
I do.
Like, what the fuck?
I do love free shit.
You know? Yeah.
So there are some, the Innovation District, we weren't involved with this. The Innovation District worked with the city in getting some Wi-Fi rolled out throughout the city, some holes. But I don't know how that's going.
I mean, could you imagine $60 more a month plus for internet that the 35% do have to pay, and what that could mean for, you know, the reinvestment? You know, they could all be buying ice cream.
I mean,
down at the food stall.
So much of the residents of downtown. You know, you've got, you know, these towers and those towers that are all, you know, people on limited incomes and, you know, people with, you know, people with limited means.
I mean, mental difficulties because they grew up in Erie their whole lives. So they're just like, they're poisoned by Hammermill and GE that just dumped in the lake forever. That's the other thing. Does that ever bother you, John, that they can't drudge the lake to get bigger shipping through Erie anymore to the port? Because if they did, they'd crack open the crust that's holding all the Superfund site. Like, well, you know, like this town's like a grenade. Yeah, this town's like a landmine. Every time you're like, we're gonna do this and it's gonna be awesome, and you're like, oh yeah, but
we
the
can't
whole Bayfront's a Superfund site. If you know, it's like waking up the Gorgon. Like, oh, it's crazy. All right, but I mean, here we are. I mean, like, you're doing it. You're moving it forward. So, like, what's your Stalinist 5-year plan? You know, like, what should the city expect? I like Extreme and Gannon being involved in this, and there being like this national push all over the place that like shit's been going on in Columbus and in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's kind of like the modeling feature that they were talking about bringing in here, and a bunch of articles that I quickly read because they came up under your name in a Google search. But I mean, like, this shit, that's a joke. But
Well,
like, there's
I'm glad your
there's
I'm
all
glad
this
your Google
stuff.
search worked out like mine did.
Well, but I mean, like, there's all these like things going on to revitalize downtowns, and a lot of it just seems like pushing poor people out and letting rich people back in because all the property's cheap, and so they can buy it and revitalize it and then be like, it'd be smart if all our employees lived real close, because it snows here all the time, so they can just fucking walk to work if they live on 4th Street instead of commuting from Fairview, And I mean, you're gentrifying the city. Like, the EDDC is, like, you say 12 properties on 3 blocks, but Erie's a 3 traffic light town, man. That's our downtown. There's one building that's over 12 stories. Like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
And it's like a food stall is not going to grow this town and make it into something better for everyone here. So all we're doing is making it better for Erie Insurance and UPMC and Gannon and, all the ritzy people that want to get their picture taken eating greens at a food stall. And then they're never coming back. And I mean, your workaday people will do it, but how many secretaries are going to, rotate 9 fucking food stalls, or 8 because one's ice cream, like every week for 50 weeks a year? Like, what does it do for Erie? Makes it look shiny and pretty. Like, I get it. Yeah. Like, that changes aesthetically. It changes everything. But this town's Eeyore, man. This town never turns around. It doesn't matter how well shit's going. Like, Piglet is literally flying and Erie's like,
thanks.
Oh, well, eventually he'll fall. Yeah. Like, I mean, convince me that something good's at the other end of it, other than fucking Erie Insurance and UPMC middle management get to eat falafels.
So we're going to have a number of different businesses come in. Some are they're all local businesses.
Right.
They'll all be hiring new employees. So there's job creation there.
Okay, but 9 stalls. And so, like, then
well,
they've got
across all our properties, we have 100,000 square feet of commercial space. And
right,
so
but
these
how many of them?
100,000 square feet of commercial space. It's room for just over 30 jobs, 30 businesses. They range from, food and beverage jobs to retail jobs to office jobs. So it's kind of the whole, the projections are for over 400 new jobs on these 3 blocks, ranging from, as I mentioned, some of them will be
$7.25 an hour.
Well, I don't know what people are going to pay. We don't dictate
but
tenants.
Yeah,
but I mean,
some of them will be retail, some of them will be food and beverage, some of them will be office jobs. So just kind of, it's across the spectrum of different job opportunities. But I guess, like, what's the alternative? Not invest and not have jobs?
But I mean, that's it. Like, just because you make something pretty and you give it fancy internet, like, that's not going to create a space for someone to come work. There's plenty of cheap buildings downtown that somebody could take and quickly, easily upgrade. If you had $1 billion business idea, I'd move to Erie in a second, call Rick Griffith and just buy up 12th Street. Like, you could do it, but where, like, this is all hypothetical, like, you've announced your like food stalls, and that's awesome. But what's that? 6, 9 people over, and I assume they've got to kind of do is everything closed at 9:00 to keep in the tradition of Erie downtown?
Well, and it seems like such, at least in the last dozen years or so, like, there's this epidemic in Erie of, like, let's open a new commercial space, and if we open it, the businesses will come, and it's just like, where are they coming from? And it's just like, like, new commercial space in Erie is just cutting the throat of other commercial space in Erie. Like, there is not, there is not growth in Erie that demands new commercial space, that demands new restaurants to open, that demands any of this. And like, you know, if new restaurant spaces open downtown, like there's not excess demand in Erie for commercial space. There's not excess demand in Erie for restaurants. And like if
I mean, are you just going to refurbish all these buildings using state grants and then sell them to Erie Insurance and UPMC?
Well, and not even that. Like, I mean,
and then your kids are old enough and you want them to have a real city experience, so you get the fuck out of here. Oh, John, you devil! I figured you out.
Well, and like
it's like that moment in Scooby-Doo where we rip off the mask unveiled. And then we rip off another mask, and it's like, oh, that's who it really was.
You were just a New Jersey capitalist the whole time, John.
It's just Bob. It's just Bob Mursky underneath. But like I like the food market. Like I've been to Pittsburgh. I've been to like the equivalent of what you guys are trying to do in Pittsburgh, because there's one. There's one on the North Shore in Pittsburgh. And
no, I'm from Massachusetts.
We went to the Children's Museum, and then we had dinner at the one that's in Allegheny Center, and it was great, and like had good beers, and we had good food, and we had a good time, and it was great. But like, you know, there are restaurant businesses downtown right now that like more independent restaurants opening downtown. Does that help them or does that hurt them? Like, you know, the Lavery's of the world, the 1201s of the world, the Room 33s of the world,
the Like My Ties, yeah, like,
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
the people that are there. I mean, we already know how it went for Cow Thai. So, like, how do the people that have been downtown? I mean, that's the real question, John. Is like the people that have been downtown grinding. Where the fuck's their money? Where the fuck's their tax breaks? Where's their tax-free deductible expenditures every year to buy things that they need that they don't get because Erie Insurance and UPMC and Gannon get to buy a bunch of tax-free property and get state grants and shit. And now you're going to open food stalls, and here are these restaurants run by local people that have been here their whole lives and had to scrimp and save and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and like make some shit happen. And now you're like, well, check this shit out. Here's a free oven for this guy, you know? And I mean, but that's Erie all the way, all the time.
So, you know, I get your point. Like anytime you do a investments, any business is not assured. You know, there's no guarantee this will be successful. We're going to do our best. We're going to try our hardest. And part of it is we know that there's demand here. You know, there's people interested in these types of retail spaces, living spaces, new food ventures. But we also know that we need to do a good job of drumming up interest in the region. You know, we're situated amongst several million people.
Well, sure, but John, we're in the middle of a pandemic, man.
Nobody's
and winter's coming, so there ain't shit happening now. So none of these jobs are here, and there's not a McDonald's on 4th Street to get coffee and get warm when you got to walk around downtown all day because the shelter doesn't open till later.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. So we're going through construction right now. We got 60 people working on the jobs on the job sites now. We are moving along with construction.
That's significantly less than 400 jobs, man.
Those are temporary. The 400 are the permanent ones that happen after the places come open. So the construction's moving along, but you're right. You know, we're in a pandemic. We don't know if the governor's going to come out tomorrow and say, you know, no food and beverage businesses, no public spaces. We don't know if, like, this is all going to get resolved tomorrow and everyone's going to be walking around acting like it never happened. It's really
they already do, man.
Some people do, yes. It's definitely a challenging environment to be revitalizing these properties in. And the thought was like, don't stop on the construction, because as soon as you stop something, it's just like, it's done, it's dead, it's over. So keep moving along, keep the momentum going. As we get closer to opening dates, we'll hopefully have a better sense of what kind of world we're operating in. Same time, we take a look at what things we could be doing with our tenants to accommodate those businesses in these pandemic times. So do they have online ordering? Do they have telephone ordering? Do they have easy pickup? Do they have delivery services? But yeah, it's a crazy time. I mean, we haven't had a global pandemic like this in 100 years. So
yeah,
there's a lot of unknowns.
So you talk about keeping construction going, which is a great segue. Thank you for that. I've got an op-ed of yours in front of me. This was something that you wrote for the Times back in April, which obviously April was a very different time than we're in right now, because like this show in April was like, let's hang out in the basement and drink wine and let Chris Eric sing for us. But your op-ed that you wrote for the Times back in April was basically a three-pronged thing. EDDC has identified three things that we can do to accelerate the recovery.
He wrote it. We're reading this for the audience.
No, yeah. I mean, you know what it says. But thing number one, start construction now. We're going to skip that one because, like, I mean, no offense to Republicans in general, but like literally any Republican in any city in the country in April could have said, let's start construction now.
What was interesting, though, at that time, we were one of 5 states in the country at that time that had shut down construction.
Yeah.
So just thought it was interesting. You stop construction, you stop investment, you stop construction workers getting paid, then they don't have money to go to all these other stores, buy groceries, et cetera. So I just found it interesting, like, why were we one of 5 states? What were the other 4 doing? So that was that point there.
Dying of COVID.
Well, the other states
but I mean, John, like you can't tell me about giving construction workers pay. Like, I work for the Commonwealth and I work a shit job for the Commonwealth. I'm not important at all. And I had 3 weeks off and I was back to work because my business makes money for the state. But like, they don't give a shit. Like, shit was bad and no one knew what to do. And I kind of applaud Governor Wolf for bucking the trend and shutting shit down, because we had no idea. Like, the shit we were reading about from Italy was lost lives all the time by magnitudes. And that's still happening here, but just not in Erie, not in front of people's faces. Like, I think at some point, like, Waste Management would be selling like body bags, like put your dead in them and throw them out on the street. And we all get numb to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a town that is just prone to feeling the depression first and taking longer to get out of it every single time. Life is dirt cheap, which means it's pretty worthless a lot of the year. The peninsula is the only reason to live and love this town. And you can't construct and you can't revitalize because we're shut down. So what are we looking at? Like the Erie 2040 plan? Because that's just bullshit so that, Kathy and her friends can collect more money from someone else. I mean, come on, everyone plays. But like, where you talk about these jobs and you talk about this commercial space, and it's going to, like, the drawings look great. They look just like the Bayfront sketch that I saw in 1996 that now looks like 3 hotels and a fucking fake boat, Like, I mean, like, what is it?
I guess, what would you like to see downtown?
Oh, complete.
Got away from the op-ed, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can talk about your 3 points, but,
you don't care about my opinion.
Oh no, I
Sure
do.
we do.
I do, because people listen to you. You know, like I just play music and make jokes and drink. But like this town, like I said, man, it's Eeyore that trips over its own dick, and so it needs leadership and it needs to be led. But Erie could be, and I say this lovingly, but Erie could be a socialist artistic utopia. Like if we allowed everything to grow up around the fact that the peninsula is the most wondrous place, like sunsets alone should cost tourists $1,000 to come here in and experience that, you know, like that shit is legit. Like the feeling that you get when you pass the second parking lot going out on Presque Isle, and all of a sudden it's like being in another world, because you can hike any trail, you can put your feet in the water, you can draw on the sand, you can fly a kite, you can see blue heron, you can kayak all over the place. Like there is a real something to that.
Julie Slomsky is going
paired with the fact that there is
Julie Slomsky is going to make so much bank on that being worth $1,000.
Oh yeah, and she's still going to lose to Dan Laughlin. Anyway, but the other part of it is the talent in this town, artistically, spiritually. Like, I mean, there's bars and churches, which means, you know, there's a bunch of thought and a bunch of art all over the place. And the music scene here is phenomenal. And it would make, you know, just one discovery out of this town, and they could pluck 6 or 7 bands, and all of a sudden it's a like 90s Seattle. Not like that, but I mean, it is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there is this real thing. Like there's a hurt and a pain that exists in the art here that is specifically Erie, that other people can tap into. There's a downtown and a heart all about this. But I would burn down the library and raise the convention center, brick that shit up, and turn it into an absolute tourist trap. Because then you could have every performer, every poet, and every promoter down at every restaurant, every boutique, and every bar that sits along the bayfront. And all those people that want to sit 6 seats up and watch the sunset would pay top dollar to do it. And then all up and down State Street, you could have every store and every restaurant and every bar you ever wanted. And they don't have to be Applebee's and fucking like second-rate Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
You know, there is something specific about this town that it just needs to be played to. And then you give everybody a universal basic income that lives here, just like it works in Sacramento, just like it works in Ottawa. It would work here at such a smaller scale because there's fewer people and it's cheap as shit to live here. Plus, you have all these universities around that are supposed to be churning out all these great minds. Like one of my digs, Erie Reader does a 40 under 40 every year. Like, what the fuck have those people changed? Just like the Bayfront, just like the Boston store, just like the convention center. Like, what's different about the EDDC that it's going to turn this city into something where it can love itself, where it can pull people in? Like, you being here is because you got family and because you got kids. And so you're kind of safe. But no one that grew up outside of New York City is fucking moving to Erie. You know, nobody that's got a new power plant or a new plan or a new internet business is moving to Erie yet. Like, how are you going to track this shit? What are you going to change? What are you going to do for the people that are here already, busting their ass and working their shit? You know, all these local chefs, like, you could pick any restaurant in town and it'll change every 6 months depending on who's cooking there. You know, is their food good? I don't know who's making sushi. Yeah. Like, you know, this town is different and it's specific. So we're pulling in this shit from Cincinnati. We're getting all these businesses to invest in it that are here because they don't know any better, you know? So Erie has a chance to be a contender, but it's got to do it different. And buying up and putting all this money into these properties, I mean, shit, son, what if you bought 9 and the 70% overpay that you put into the other 3, you're reinvested in the fucking school district that just closed a bunch of schools. You're reinvested in the soup kitchens that are overrun. into the homeless shelters that are overrun, into all the people that you just displaced because you bought up every house on 4th Street and then you just kicked out not you, Erie Insurance, and then you just moved out people of color, immigrants, and women entrepreneurs that were paying too much rent to live in buildings that weren't being kept up, you know? And like, what if the EDDC put some money into Federal Hill? Like, there's a bunch of people from Erie in Erie proper trying to make shit work. Like, why isn't that a model instead of, you know, shit from another town like Cincinnati or Raleigh, Durham or New Orleans? All right, sorry, I yield the rest of my time. But you asked, but that's why, man. Like, this town's different and it's got potential, but everybody doesn't see it. You know, they get theirs and they just keep on living. You know, there's a huge divide, like the racism here, and it's less than 1%. Like, our national average on everything is just beyond white, you know? And I tell the story a bunch of times. Like, it wasn't until high school that there were more than like 5 or 6 black kids that weren't in the same family in the same school that I was in. Like, that's Erie. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we have to be inclusive and we have to turn that around, at the same time turning around an economy, at the same time turning around a neglected downtown, at the same time having the same people that have been elected by the same people that have been elected by the same people over and over again. I mean, I used to feel bad when all the riots were going on and I would ask all of our colored guests, people of colored guests, I don't know, that sounded really bad.
Yeah,
Spanish red. But I'm not running for office.
No.
But when I would ask people of color, like, what do you do to, and I don't want to make you a savior, but John Persinger, white man of the people, like, what are you going to do to save us? Because you've got the Erie Downtown Redevelopment Corporation going on, and you're the CEO, and you're supposed to turn the city around. So how are you going to save us if you're just making places for secretaries to eat?
I wasn't sure if that was comment. There was a question there.
Yeah, save us, man. You know.
I'm with you. The city needs a lot of help, and there's more than just properties.
Sure.
There's a number of issues, and the running in 2017, like, the biggest question that kept going through my mind is how do you break generational poverty? Because that, I think, is the biggest problem here, and I think that affects all different races. But we have some systemic poverty issues here, and so that was the one question that just kept turning over and over in my mind. It's like, it's a big issue, and it's a big, complicated issue, obviously, because by the fact that, like, no one solved it. And those are the days I thought about that made me somewhat, those were the humbling days. Now you think about those issues and what you're taking on in the mayor's office and whether you can actually.
I mean, that's a stuffed shirt. Come on. If you don't best him 9 times out of 10, then you're not who I thought you were. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Come on. Like, do you like, I mean, you only lost because it's Erie and you had an R behind your name. Like, that's why. Like, you could take him to the cleaners every day, twice on Sunday, and it's not even open. Come on. Like, you just do what you do. Yeah, you guys win. You got all the money. He gets nothing.
So
He gets people marching on his house.
So yeah, I mean that's like it's a big question and it's a big issue, and I know like there are different communities in the U.S., different like communities across the world who are working on that issue, and hopefully there will be a silver bullet at some point in time, because I do think that's like the biggest problem plaguing Erie.
Are you going to vote for Trump?
So I am. When I told I'm not trying to intentionally do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you are. But you're going to do it.
So I am avoiding any political discussions about this campaign, this race.
Mm-hmm.
In this role, I deal with politicians of all different backgrounds, all different.
Yeah, I know, but they're all green. Like, it's all they just want their taste. You got to give it to them, and they just take it. I mean, the reason I asked that is because, like, they're, to circle all the way around to the back of the beginning of the show, which I, funnily enough, still remember. Like, there's a brand. There is a path that was chosen, to go full throttle capitalism. Like, we're going to do this, like, fuck ecology, fuck every, poor people, fuck, anything. Like, we are going to be full board tax cuts and just go ahead and remake this country in our image. And it's not working, man. And like, the ship's on fire. And I know that you can see it. I mean, you have children. You can't want to not be part of the Paris Accords. You can't not want to have a greater, good come out of things. Like, you see what's happening and what's good for real people, every person, and like, your party has betrayed you, and they've gone after someone that is completely a cult of personality.
Right.
And so you don't have to tell me who you're picking, but can you be conservative anymore? Can you afford it?
So what's interesting at this moment in time, and I think it's been true over the last few years, is like the parties used to be like on a straight line and kind of have different poles that were distinctly far away from each other. But now I think it's a bit like circular, and that the parties, like, they're
both in the back alley of the particular circle that they're sitting on.
So and maybe even like, maybe it's different than like the circle.
One bird with two wings.
But those wings like came together because like there's part of like the part where there's an establishment that, doesn't really matter if they're Republican or a Democrat. Mm-hmm. But then there are also like far edges of the parties that are almost meeting together on certain issues. And so I don't know what that means in terms of this election or the next few elections, whether there's going to be a fundamental realignment of political parties and positions in this country. But it's definitely it's a unique time in trying to look back over like history, like what are the sort of similar points.
And I mean, you've
history
obviously
where this has occurred.
You've obviously run for office as a Republican, but like, when you ran for office as a Republican, it was definitely, or at least the impression that I got, was more, in the Republican Party, there's sort of the, forgive my turns of phrase, but you've got the sort of Jesus death cult.
I said colored people. You can say whatever you want tonight, because I already fucked up beyond any repair, so we're good.
You've got this sort of like Jesus death cult wing of the Republican Party, and then you've got this sort of more libertarian leaning end of the Republican Party on the other side. And I didn't get a whole lot of Jesus death cult out of you. which is a good thing. Otherwise,
I try to avoid death cults in general. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very many life lessons or life rules, but
we appreciate that. Otherwise, we would probably not be having this conversation right now. But, you know,
next time we'll meet in my basement. I'll bring some Kool-Aid and
I'm all for this. I can't wait to see what sneakers you pick out for us to wear.
like lots of white New Balance. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
In your honor, Michael, there'll be D Browns to the pump.
Oh.
Fuck yeah. There's nothing, man. All right. Thank you for that.
But
I mean, like, I'm from Massachusetts, and I've been to Boston so many times, and like Faneuil Hall is an amazing thing, but it is a historic hall that now has been filled with food stalls for like 60 years. Like Sherlock's Park Place, I've watched more chicks vomit in Park Place than I've ever seen anyone eat soul food. So that's a whole stigma you're going to have to turn for this town.
Sorry, Adam, we interrupt.
That's fine.
You're good. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Although what a whole new place to get into good stuff. Used to watch chicks in shiny dresses dance on the top of tables, and now maybe we can get some crawfish or something. That'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, I won't object to that. Like, I could go for a nice etouffee over literally anything I've ever done at Park Place.
Hey, John, is it? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you started with that op-ed. You wanted to talk about the other 2 points, though.
Oh, yeah. Like, we got away from that before I was going to get ready to start agreeing with you. So thanks for coming back to that.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
You talk about this while I go pee before I wet my pants.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which I think would be awesome television.
That would be
if
great.
This were television.
Great.
You peeing, dog vomiting.
Great. So, op-ed point number 2: invest in critical infrastructure. And we've already talked about that a little bit tonight, about how downtown needs better access to high-speed internet. Downtown needs better access to, the electrical grid. I've got no beef with infrastructure. Like, that seems like a pretty safe, pretty bipartisan issue. Is there anybody disputing the idea that Erie needs better physical infrastructure right now?
It's just not on people's radars.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've been going through is getting electricity to our buildings. The equipment's not there, and
and what you wrote talks about a lot of like high price tags for getting what you need into the buildings that need it, and talks about the Warner and their high cost for their electrical improvements that they're looking for.
And if we take a sort of a more holistic look at the downtown and even the entire city, is there a way that we can reduce costs and get better electrical service to everybody who's in the city? So that's kind of what I was trying to do with raising that point.
Do you have any bright ideas about that, or is it just sort of is it sort of more of an open question of what can we do about infrastructure?
Penelec hasn't really invested in the city since I think the late 60s, early 70s. So there's obviously, it's a different city that we're living in today than, 50 years ago.
Penelec used to have like generating capacity in the city, which they don't anymore. And a lot of that, I know, I mean, I work for DEP, so I'm a little bit aware of what's going on the energy side, at least from an environmental standpoint, and a lot of the reductions in electrical infrastructure have to do with the decommissioning of coal-fired power plants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the case with what used to be Penelec's infrastructure in Erie. You know, they used to have coal-fired power plants in the city of Erie, or in, you know, I don't know if it was literally in the city or if it was maybe in, you know, Lawrence Park, Harbor Creek, but they were on the east side of Erie. And you know, as things have progressed the last few years, that's become part of what has gone away, is part of that generating capacity in this part of the state. And you know, in a way that's a good thing, because you know, it's obviously, any of the coal-fired power plants are going to be a dirtier source of energy than literally anything else, but it's also taking some of the responsibility and some of the agency for where our own energy needs are coming from, and putting that burden on other parts of the state and other parts of the country. And
well, yeah, I mean, you brought it up earlier, like how much it costs just to rehook the electric.
Yeah.
You know, just to get these buildings up to code, just to get them up and running so you can turn on a light switch, let alone run like everything you need to run a kitchen. Wouldn't it be better if like everything was lined with solar panels, and then there was one cable running up from the lake with hydroelectric from every wave that hit every break wall that was unnecessary? Like, that's another one of my favorite public work projects, by the way, is all the break walls on the beach that just made it a jagged edge. And yeah. So, but I mean, like, does that shit play a role? Like, how many people have you had to consult, or does it not matter because of our podunk status as Erie?
For solar,
well, just for environment, like just to you know, just to like, I mean, you already overpaid for all these buildings. Like, are you gonna make them? I mean, like the cashier's house, right? I'm getting you guys got that. Yeah. Like, that shit is hundreds of years old. Like, how do you how do you upgrade? You know, how do you like, forget Wi-Fi? Like, what do you put on the roof to run that shit? You know, how do you upgrade just the outlets? You know, I've got friends in this town that you can't plug your computer into the wall without getting a retrofit plug.
Yeah, like a 2-prong to 3-prong
from
to
somewhere
4-prong
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that building, we acquired that one from the art museum. There was one outlet on the second floor, none on the third floor. So we had to add.
All right, I hate to interrupt you, but this is my favorite new conspiracy theory that I started by myself. is that the EDDC, because of the people that are on it and everything, also kind of mingle with all the people that were on the Erie Art Museum board. And so they knew about Josh in Philly. Like, they already knew what his whole world was like. And so they got him here because it was a museum that he could run on his own to prove himself. But they knew what was happening. And they also knew how in debt the museum was, because they ran it into the ground already, because Vanko is a great person that deals with art, but not so great when it comes to business. And so they knew that the museum owned like the cashier's house and all this other property downtown. So they brought Josh in knowing that he just wanted to show cool shit, and that they could sit somebody down with him and be like, you know how you can get rid of this debt real fast, son? You sell these old houses that you don't give two shits about, and you sell this other block of property that you don't need, and then you'll be debt free, and then you could put balloons and fast food bags and whatever the fuck else you want in your museum. So that's kind of my conspiracy theory, is that like the powers that be, that aren't really good at being powers that be in Erie, knew that if they got somebody into the museum that they could eventually just erase, that they could get them to sell them the good properties to the EDDC before you even got there, even though you were there and everything. But, you know, that they could just erase that guy, but still get that property right cheap. I mean, tell me it's not plot. I mean, I've kind of read this. I've read excerpts from your book. So don't just tell me that that's not like a really good conspiracy theory too.
I mean, it was a no-brainer. Like,
Yeah.
we're sitting on $1 million+ in debt, and they had these properties that were empty. So
yeah, so they had to do it.
I had to offload it. I mean,
no, had to do it, and he didn't know no better because he ain't from here and he don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He was just trying to make his name being at a museum. Yeah, like I mean, and it's not even against him. It's just like it could have been anybody that was looking for that chance because what a chance, but like. All the better to fucking get him to sell it and then erase him and ruin his shit. Oh man, you guys are a bunch of assholes.
Michael knows how it works. He's seen
in my conspiracy theory. Yeah, in my new book, it's a follow up. It's got the same priest that's in yours as in mine.
In Michael's new book, Michael's seen House of Cards. He'll tell you about all of this. So part 3 of the op-ed, which we didn't talk about.
No, answer that. No,
he's not gonna answer. He's not gonna answer that.
Respond to that.
He already answered that enough, more than I would have expected him to. In part 3 of the op-ed, invest in social infrastructure, which talks a lot about a vision for Perry Square and a vision for State Street and a vision for what you want downtown to look like. And I'm not on board with this. So what is your vision for downtown? What do you want? What do you want to see downtown look like?
Well, the main point of that point was the importance of social infrastructure. You know, both like people on the left and right have talked about like the importance of social infrastructure in communities, whether they are like intentional spaces or unintentional spaces that just bring people together and cuts through. You know, right now it's a very tense time in America. It's a very divisive time in America, and to bring people together, it's easier to do it on a community level, on a local level, where you have to see someone every day or interact with someone every day, be it a neighbor or coworker. So the thought behind kind of raising this topic was to get folks to take a look at what is the social infrastructure in this community. How can we build upon it? How can we enhance it? Is there a gap somewhere, or a deficit somewhere where we could fail and create more social infrastructure? And so I will say I got like one person wrote me about that and thought it was a great idea. And then it's like crickets from everyone else.
Well, because they're a bunch of fucking racists, or they're too poor to read the paper because they're just trying to do their live-a-day world instead of caring about,
they're all stuck behind the paywall.
They're all cleaning out empty fucking office buildings at Erie Insurance, so they don't have time to think about all of these buzzwords created by some sociologist at Brown.
Look, I don't pay attention to anyone from.
He's not a Brown.
No, you're
guy.
totally University of Chicago. I know you.
He's a Milton Friedman guy. He's not a Brown guy.
Sociology, that sounds too close to socialism. I don't want anything to do with that.
So for Perry Square, we could be having more events and activities. Michael's favorite curling league, or more like live music, or more events for kids.
So
would you do it in the cage, or would people be allowed to do it outside? Like, I mean, because I'll say at the time, like all things in Erie, like all of the things I've named, but also on the other side of the circle that you so lovingly referred to it as, which makes sense. But I mean, I was at Occupy Erie, which was
bring that up.
Pretty much like it was the lowfalutin, like EDDC meeting, basically. It's like a bunch of people with good ideas, but nothing's ever going to happen, and someone's going to come in and fuck it up anyway, so it doesn't matter. But like, we went from having a gazebo that was inviting even to the houseless people of our community to having a fucking cage on State Street, man. Like, it was nothing but a show of power. And I know Sinnott's an asshole, and like, he got everything from South County, so he was never really an Erieite, and he just fucked everything up and didn't care. But like, they built a fucking cage in our city park, man. Like, I agree with Adam. I do think if you cut off State Street and made a park,
they tore down like the public space that was like.
That was my point in the article.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I grew up in Erie in the 90s. Michael, you grew up in Erie in the 90s, and like, that used to be like. That used to be the public square of Erie, was like the gazebo in Perry Square. And like, they literally tore down what was the public gathering space of this city to build a cage.
Yep.
And like,
and now they have to like unlock shit if you want to see Eric Brewer and friends stick around on guitar.
I've played the cage one time. I will admit that I played the cage one time. We had an okay set in the cage, but like, it's weird. And
yeah, but I mean, do you how soon until you rip that shit down? That's some redeeming qualities that I'll look for in the EDDC. Yeah. But I mean, isn't that? But John, that's bullshit, man. Right? I mean,
what is
the cage on? In Perry Square.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a terrible message. And so, with making a public gathering space, to your point earlier, well, the weather is challenging here, and this isn't Miami, this isn't LA. It's challenging to be outside all year round, so you need indoor or covered gathering spaces. So the thought was like, if you could build something that was a open structure, it could be
like
programmed
with
events.
Gazebo?
Well, I was thinking covered like Phipps Conservatory in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Glass, you can get natural light through. People need natural light. It's just generally healthy to get natural light. So you make it glass, you can see through, but at the same time, you're covered. You're not exposed to the elements. You can put restrooms in there, and so people who don't have a roof over their heads, don't have their own personal bathroom, had somewhere to go use the facilities throughout the day. What gets me is I have city council members complaining about we don't have public bathrooms, and there are public bathrooms in the ground floor of City Hall, which could be opened up. But at the same time, if we did this in Perry Square and made it a public gathering space that was covered, we could do these things. Dude, that would improve the social infrastructure of the city.
They were doing carbon copies in the 2010s. Like, City Hall doesn't give a fuck. They're not going to suddenly elevate themselves into some other place. Like, there were two old women that have been working in the office since the fucking 50s that would make carbon copies of every fucking piece, every document that went through City Hall. And that's all they did. They didn't even put it on computers now. I mean, like, this town is so far behind and lags so hard in so many things. Like, I mean, the catch-up alone is gotta, I don't know, does it frustrate you, or does it kind of give you a little tickle to be like, oh, like it's like doing a fucking card trick and everyone's like, it's a miracle, and you're like, no, this is like the most basic shit ever, but you rubes don't, like, I learned this in a 100 class.
Dream
of
the
like,
70s.
Does it feel like,
What did you say, Adam?
I said the dream of the 70s is alive and eerie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely days where it's really frustrating because, like I said, there's a lot of challenges. But they in some I try to stay positive. I'm a pretty optimistic person, and when you're at the bottom, there's only one way, and that's to go up. So I try to keep that in mind. We've got plenty of room for improvement.
Yeah, and fucking endless slush fund of fucking like grant money
Other people's
that you
money.
can throw at buildings. I mean, like, what happens when they come calling? Like when Erie Insurance and UPMC and all these places. I mean, you'll be long gone, but like, but what happens? Yeah, I know. Well, come on,
I'm
John.
gonna forward
Come
my number
on.
to you.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, we'll have a good talk with
I
him.
will be your. Yeah, I'll be your Moriarty. I'll even let you be Sherlock. But like, I mean, what happens when they come calling? When they got to collect on all these properties that the city fucked up because they didn't support it enough, or because downtown wasn't invigorated enough, or because it was only 12 properties in 3 blocks.
Or
what happens when
are their pockets deep enough that they don't give a shit?
Yeah, like what happens when neither Biden nor Trump wins, but like universal health care comes in, and with it brings all kinds of like universal basic income and all kinds of shit that you don't need insurance underwriters for. When all of a sudden Erie Insurance is over and there's no more middle management at UPMC because it's Hammond again and it's just a hospital.
Oh, this is
like
when
those monies aren't there anymore.
A little far-fetched, Michael.
Yeah. Well, I'm a dreamer too.
Yeah.
I'm the other side of John's rainbow connection.
That's what we're going to call that. The rainbow connection thesis. It's just all connected together.
Yeah, right. That's just a circular rainbow.
Yeah, but absolutely. Like you're throwing a bunch of money at shit that they want returns from. They're not going to come kneecap you. They'll give you a handshake and a gold watch and a parachute and be like, thanks for doing your best, son.
Thanks for your time.
I mean, metaphorically, but like this shit doesn't come down on you. So where does your responsibility really lie? Like I know you want to.
It does come down on me.
Community.
Yeah, it does come down on me.
I mean, but not you. Like no one pays the price for shit anymore. Like you can move to another town and run again. And maybe some enterprising journalists will come in and talk about your Erie shit, but no one will read it and it won't matter.
Yeah.
And and this time you'll move to a city where ours have a chance, but like for the EDDC itself, and not even you, but for the people that live here, like who gets it in the end? Because we always do. We're still paying for the Bayfront fuck up. We're still paying for the convention center and the Boston store and the fucking Arby's condos. We're still paying for all these mistakes that they keep making. So when the food stalls don't work and the 400 jobs don't pay shit and nobody gets to live downtown anymore, and the parking increases and the fucking cashier's house becomes a widget financial, like then what? What happens when they come calling that they're not getting the return on investment because, their people are still eating Subway sandwiches and Happy Garden instead of out of the food stalls.
Right. All legitimate questions. I mean, this is, like I said, this is not guaranteed. This is not a sure thing. Like, this is definitely a risk. And
universal basic income is, and like healthcare, like an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. So you're dealing with an insurance company and a hospital and a university that's just taking federal dollars and buying tax-free property and raising prices on everybody's rent. Like, you're in bed with these people that have already been here. Like all these companies have been here and they haven't done shit till now. And now they're trying to make this investment, but it's not including the community. Like, yeah, some people love curling, but I mean, they also fucking, they have a bocce league at the brewery. People here are idiots. It doesn't matter. Like they'll find fun where they can because it's just drinking and fucking and feeling sad. That's all there is to this town. But I mean, there's some way to change it, and
that's going to be on your campaign T-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never run for office.
2024, drinking and fucking and feeling sad.
Since 1976. Here you go. But I'm serious about this, John, because I love this town and there's so much potential. And honestly, I've invested more of my life into this community than anyone else that holds office because I do it for free. And I'm all about the art scene and I'm all about musicians and I'm, I've done it for nothing just because I believe, and I put my name on shit and I put my voice on shit and I've seen it all, everything that's come and gone in this city that hasn't worked. And at this point, now that I have some wisdom, and I've lived, I haven't lived in Australia yet, but I mean,
try it.
That's next.
It's pretty cool.
But I've lived in cities where they've done shit, like Spokane, Washington looks like like Pittsburgh fucked Erie and then left. Like it's got 3 rivers and a happening downtown, but it's all just people that hate themselves and each other. And it'll never fucking get to the status of Seattle. And Erie's kind of like, we'll never get to Pittsburgh, so we might as well not even try. Yet of Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, like Erie's got the most shit going on. And it's the prettiest bayfront. And it's all these things here that really matter. And, even if it's not for anyone else, like how many rooms have you rented at the Courtyard? How many rooms are you going to rent at Nick Scott's Motel 6 or whatever the fuck he built, his 2-story Applebee's? Like, I'm not renting those rooms. And the people that are renting those rooms aren't going to food stalls. And they're not going to get, they're not going to like my Thai, They're not going to 1201 all the time. They're not checking out, all the shit that goes on in this town that you wouldn't know if you weren't here, because they're not going to Federal Hill because no one's putting money in their pockets. No one's fixing potholes on Peach Street. And that's not even their job. Like the businesses got together and got hot asphalt dropped in a pothole last summer. Like, the city is a living, breathing thing. And if you're not taking care of the blood flow that goes through it, and you're just taking care of UPMC and Erie Insurance and Gannon, they don't give a fuck. They don't live here. They don't live in the city. They don't buy food down here. Like, do you know how disgusting it is to eat Arby's late at night because I get out of work at 10 o'clock and there's, and I don't want to cook because I've been on my feet all day and I've been yelling at people to wear their mask. And that my hazard pay got shut off in July, but I live in the city, so I gotta fucking eat roast beef and cold curly fries, and
a lot during the campaign.
Yeah, but I do it every day, man. And everybody down here, like the other fucking 60%, 65% that doesn't have internet, that just sits on their phones and just tries to get by every day. Like, they don't care if there's food stalls or a cashier's house from 1839. They need funding and they need people to not buy the property next to theirs and raise their rent because they don't pay taxes because Jesus, like there's shit going on in this town.
They need to make more than $7.25 an hour.
Before I forget, when are you having Nick Scott on the show?
Oh, if someone shows him how to use a webcam, I want to do it from his yacht. We'll social distance.
Yeah. we'll be on the poop deck.
Yeah. Oh,
he'll be in the penthouse.
When we get off the air, give us his number.
Yeah. You were number 1 on our list. He's number 2 on our list.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, but
I have his number.
No, I bet he's got yours.
Lots of people have mine. I give mine out all the time.
Now, I mean, like, for you, just, I mean, again, like I respect your intellect to no end. Like I really do believe in the ideas that you have are legitimate and that there are workable things that you see, that you are not dogmatic and you are not Jesus freak Republican. Like you're just on the other side of the fence and but you know what's going on. But for you, is it just a job, man? Because this ain't your town, and this town will shit on you the next chance it gets. They will cut your Achilles tendons and laugh at you while they kick sand in your face. And not even Presque Isle sand, but bad sand from the baseball fields that no longer exist downtown. They'll do this shit to you. So
the Trump sand we don't even get.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, is it, and not even in a bad way, but is it egotistical to win? Is it that you can make a difference because you're not mayor, but now you're the CEO of changing downtown. And that's how people see you, whether you want them to believe it or not. You're the great white hope. So what do you want? Like, what's next for you? Because you're dealing with everything bad. Like, every card is against you, man.
This goes kind of back to the reason why I ran for mayor in the first place. I was at the law firm and I was seeing a city that had been declining for 60 years, losing population, losing economy, and seeing why wasn't anyone stepping forward and say, okay, here's the problem. We've been declining, but more importantly, here's a plan to get us growing again. And so thought, with some ideas that you talked about, they were ideas culled from around the world of what could potentially work to help get the city growing again. Thought that we could make a difference. And that's, why I ran. It wasn't because I wanted the title mayor or wanted the office. It wasn't something that I had a lifelong burning to do. And so it didn't work out. And when I was presented with this opportunity, it seemed like, if I had gone out there and said, running to make a difference, and given an opportunity to make a difference, well, then I couldn't have then kind of quit and said, well, I didn't get the position that I was running for, then I'm not going to help out at all. I'm just going to go back to practicing law. And so it was something that I definitely had to consider. But
which devil horns do I wear? Do they go in or do they go out? Am I a lawyer or am I gentrifier?
But I'm well aware, we talked about this earlier, there's major challenges here, major systemic challenges and issues that aren't going to be solved with just the EDC. They're not going to be solved with just the mayor. They're not going to just be solved at the state level, not going to be solved by the federal level doing it alone. You almost need it on all fronts. And I'm hopeful that we can make some progress towards addressing some of these challenges, but I'm also a generally optimistic person. So we may never get there, but if we don't try, then what's the point?
You know what I bet would solve a lot of those problems? If there were two middle-aged white guys who had a streaming show where they drank a lot of whiskey and talked about it.
Yeah, where's our EDDC funding? We can be bought for 70% of what we go for.
Oh, I can. I can.
There's 700% what we go for.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to get you a curling hat.
Yeah. I'm gonna have the best team this year. It's gonna be great. Yep. And then we all die of COVID at the end.
Yeah.
John, of all the people in Erie, and I mean this sincerely and seriously, city council, mayor's office, statewide, but like the Erie people, like all those crusty Italians and all the other people in this fucking town that are just the way that they are. Who would you fight the most? Like, who do you want? Like, who's your person, because like I've always got mine.
Yeah,
like,
we've all got our
and
person.
I mean, we've all got our people. Like, there used to be this Scott Foster, I think his name was, and he used to be on WICU, and this was decades ago. It was probably in the early 2000s, and he does news up in like Ripley or Rochester, I don't know, someplace in New York that begins with an R, I'm sure. But like, he was just my arch nemesis because he was so fucking bad at the news and was just such a bad, but he would be on every day, and I was like, fuck this guy. So I mean, but it's Erie, and like, who do you want? Who's your call out? Like, don't the Bizarros host some kind of thing every year where you get to box against like, your person?
We're doing like,
so let's disguise it as
deathmatch.
this charity thing, but like, given your due, like, who you want to fuck up, John? Cause you could do it. Come on, there's somebody that hurt you. Who told you that you were a bad lawyer when you were McDonald Dillon, that you were like, I'm going to run for mayor and prove you wrong?
I'm going to show you. I'll tell you mine off the air, by the way.
Yeah, no, but I mean, what side of his hair does he part? Come on, tell me.
There's no one. I don't have beef with anyone.
And you're not working hard enough, John.
Well, I know it's too easy to get distracted, to get bogged down, to get pulled away from, work, but more importantly, like family and friends. So try not to bring any negativity into my life and hence their lives.
Yeah, right. Your dog pukes and your battery dies, but
yeah.
You're
a better man than us.
Yeah, John Persinger, CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, failed mayoral candidate, all around good guy.
Thank you.
No, honestly, brother, like, I enjoy you. You are a breath of fresh air, no matter what team you're playing for. Like, I do respect your mind, and I know where you're coming from, and I see that your vision is a vision, even if it's wrong.
But which is more than we can say for a lot of people.
Yeah, right. But I mean, like, you know what's going on, and I respect that. So I wish you nothing but success when you move out of Erie.
Well, Michael, should we put on?
I hope your house goes for $700. I hope Erie Insurance buys your house as an advisory property.
Yeah.
And sends you on your way with quite the dip.
It wouldn't take 500% to get me out of my house.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Michael, should we put on a weird
anytime?
Should we put on a weird film? And,
yeah, no.
We'll come back in a minute and say goodnight to the people, and in the meantime,
yeah. But I mean, John, honestly, like, to come on here, like, no one, like, there are fucking idiot Democrats that won't come on our show, like that we would prop up. Like that, that we would be nice to, and we wouldn't challenge half as much as you. And, I do respect that you came on here, but again, man, I'm a fan, and, I hope it works. And, if things start going south and you need to just completely tack to the left, give me a call. Because my consulting fees could be paid by 3 of your donors, let alone 9 of them. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate you guys doing this. Yeah, I know you say you started it just kind of get together and drink back in April, but you've had some great guests on, and to be able to kind of like go past the 30-second sound bites that you get on the local news is something that, I appreciate, because the folks that you've had on, are all people that I interact with and people who are working on issues in the city that affect what we're doing. So I've enjoyed following you, and hopefully when all this passes, we can come do a show in the cashier's house and put that building finally to good use.
I am.
That'll be our new headquarters.
Yeah.
Erie Insurance presents Social Distancing Variety Hour.
We can be bought. John Persinger, thank you.
John
for being
Persinger,
with
cheers,
us.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's a piece of weird film, and then Michael and I will be back in a few minutes, and we'll say goodnight to you.
Julia. 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 Victor. Julia.
Julia. Julia.
Victor. 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 Oh, Victor.
Coco! Edward. Oh.
Go, Rhino. Go. Go.
Oh. Uh-huh. Julia.
Social distancing variety hour. John Persinger, kids. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I like having diversity of thought on the show.
Yeah, and like you and I have been talking about this for weeks, and we were sort of like, has he seen the show?
Then he has.
Does he know that we don't like his kind much in general, generally speaking? But he has, and he does, and he did it anyway. So, points for that.
And I do like his kind. Like I maybe not of his, like political persuasion, but I wish more smart people with half their family in town would move back here, because it would change things.
It would.
Like, at least, like, even just to have the debate changes things. Like, it shifts that fucking shitty Overton window of, like, every crusty old person that someone calls cuzzy, like, just shifts over to, we can, we can have a real, like functional society here.
And like, if
this is a real city, damn it.
If there were more Republicans that were like people we could have interesting conversations with, and like ask them stuff that they go, for 30 seconds about, and fewer Republicans that were used car salesmen who were like, oh, I'm sure she's a great school teacher. Love you, Christy. Hi, Christy.
Yeah. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Someone fucked up our Christy sign. Like, isn't that crazy? In our front lawn, like, someone got so mad that we had a Christy sign, which that means someone's doing something right.
Yeah.
But somebody like came and like mangled it and shit. And and my housemate Daniel's like, I'm not standing for this, and went out and was like, boop. Now it's perfect again.
Nice.
He fixed it. It was great.
Good for Daniel.
But yeah.
Well, and I didn't even realize, like, there was the thing, like, we talked about it a couple weeks ago when we got our, very special mail package. We got it, and Donna Alton's mom, who lives down the block from us, got it, and she posted about it. I'm like, oh yeah, we got it too. And then Daniel had posted about it, and somebody tagged us in Daniel's post about it. And like, I had not previously been Facebook friends with Daniel, and I'm like, oh, some other dude I don't know got it. And like, I mean, Daniel's a common enough name. I don't really think like, oh, this must be Michael's Daniel. I mean, it's my dad's name. But then I started
Michael's Daniel.
Right. But
his man will be happy to hear that. Or
right. But then I circled back to it, and I looked at the address on it, and it's like the number, I won't name the street that you live on. And I'm like, oh shit, that's Michael's Daniel. I know where this went, and we're gonna have this has completely changed the conversation that we're gonna be having about this thing now. And it was kind of like
it sits on our dining room table, like it's back in the envelope, because I did that show from an undisclosed location.
Oh, right.
And brought it with me. And it had been sitting out open on our dining room table that we walked past, because it's in the middle of our home. And so I brought it back, tucked in the envelope, and put it back where we knew it was. But it's this unopened envelope, or this folded up letter inside an envelope, sitting on our dining room table. And I every time I see it, I think about it, like, this is the community that we're dealing with. Like, I mean, that's another part of the whole thing. And I know we keep talking about the food stalls, but only because it's been announced and it's been like trumpeted as this whole like thing to build around, as this like championing thing. But like, who the fuck writes that letter and then wants to go get shawarma or wants to go get fucking soul food or anything that isn't Smith's hot dogs and, you know, fucking charred burgers, you know, and like just wings,
so
like shitty wings, like they're all, you know.
I mean, you can criticize the food stall thing as like, oh, that's for, you know, hipster white people like me, because like
it is because a Mighty Fine Donuts ice cream sandwich is like, that's your porn name.
I mean, like I'll eat the fuck out of some shawarma, but you know, to the extent that it's for suburban white people, it's for the kind of enlightened suburban white people who don't write garbage like that, because like
like
the people
what's
who
that new place they built out on 99, like Copper Coin or whatever the fuck that the name of that subdivision that they built out there on 99 and Hershey Road. And it's like those people are gonna fucking drive into town for some shawarma when they've got like a knockoff Starbucks cafe at their entrance to their like manufactured homestead.
And they gotta,
like, they're not coming here. And then when they do come here, where the fuck are they gonna park?
Right. It's all one-way streets. They're all confused.
They've got driveways. They don't know how to back into a city parking spot. Anyway,
and
I've got to keep driving around until I can get one that's horizontal.
They can go to Panera Bread. Like, they don't need to come into the city.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. And he never answered anything, but he never answered my question about, like, is it going to shut down at 9 p.m. like every other downtown establishment?
Well,
you know, if you're not a bar,
to me,
you're closed. And so is it gonna?
To me, like, you know, all of that is such a weird question right now, because like I tried to go to Giant Eagle.
Yeah, but
and like Giant Eagle closes at 9 p.m. right now. Like, and I'm used to that being open till, you know, 1, 2 in the morning. And like COVID times, it's been like, at first I was like, okay, this is kind of cool that like that we've moved to this point where, because I've always kind of raged about, like, especially like around Black Friday and holidays and stuff like that, like, you know, oh, we're open at 6 a.m., we're open at 4 a.m., we're open at 2 a.m., we're open at midnight the night before, and I felt like this was an excuse to move away from that, until I started being inconvenienced and couldn't go get groceries at 11 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, fuck this. Things need to be things need to be open for my convenience. But like, you know.
Right. Well, but not that, but because of the life that we've been given.
Right.
Like, I've been thinking about this a lot, of like, and especially what I was trying to get across with John is like, you've chosen these fucking battles forever that are just your bread and butter. That's the trains from the cartoons. If you didn't get that, if you're too young, there's old school cartoons where they do bread and butter when the trains are coming past, because that's what people used to do when they were old, because they didn't have to worry about shit like gentrification, because basically black people were still slaves and the Chinese were dying building the railroads, and Irish need not apply, and the Italians were terrible. Gentrification. I'm still thinking about how I said colored people inadvertently earlier tonight, and that's just, I hope someone finds that and does a whole expose about it, and I have to apologize to the real, because I hope I have to have Abdullah show up and shake my hand, be like, this is my black friend.
Big Wash will be like, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah. Oh man, Lawrence Fishburne at Erie. How can I be racist if I know Lawrence Fishburne?
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, town's fucked, and I have no faith in the EDC to do it. To overpay for that kind of property, like, I mean, why would any, and then who got the brokerage fees? I mean, I had all these other questions that I wrote down that we never got to because drinking, but
we got to a lot of
what
stuff though.
Realtor got the brokerage fees? Like, but the intricacies are what I want to know, because it's always about the money. Like, Capone didn't go down for killing his enemies; he went down for tax evasion. Like, it's always a little shit, you know.
And so did
like you never get fucked with like.
And so did John Gotti. Yeah,
you never get fucked with fencing the equipment. You always get fucked with like fucking with the tax cards. You know, like you're reporting your hourly wages wrong. You know, it's always that. But like,
well, and I mean, they're an organization of bankers and lawyers. So who got the fees? Their friends got the fees. Like, we know that. Like,
I know, but it just, he's not even from here, and he's already the CEO, and he can't just fucking say it. Like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Fucking getting shawarma for secretaries. That if I ran a local Erie campaign for anything, I would get shawarma for secretaries t-shirts and just talk about how the EDDC don't give a fuck about you. Don't give a fuck.
That is,
and it's not his fault.
That's social.
It's not his fault.
Variety Hour t-shirt slogan number 4.
I don't blame him. I want to keep going.
Number 4.
Yeah, number 47. But like,
shawarma for secretaries.
But like, the guys that are on there, like the Bachelors and the Tommy, what's his name, Barron, and PNC and
Tommy
Erie Insurance.
Tommy Barron.
Anyway,
Tommy PNC. Tommy Erie.
Yeah.
Erie Insurance. Erie.
With the H. Anyway. Yeah. I've actually killed a bottle of Infinito and like 2.5 pints of water.
The walkers
during the show.
The walkers are big.
Oh, the walkers
guys.
Yeah, they. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's all this old money from these old companies that have been here forever.
Yep.
And they haven't made a change until now. And they're like, oh, it's all private money, until you start talking about the grants that they got and the matching fees that they got and the tax breaks that they got for investing in this shit. And the fact that the mayor was behind it before he was even the mayor. Like that shit that Julie was saying last week. Hagen, Soundman extraordinaire, Taven Markov with the Tom Hagen coming out of nowhere. It's like the consigliere for the Godfather, for the Corleone family.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he is kind of
awesome. Thank you, Taven. Thank you for being my champion all night. I appreciate you and love you. But anyway, like, all these places have been here forever and made a ton of money off of this community. And now suddenly they're just going to take all this money and invest it with no ulterior motives other than making the city better. It's shawarma for secretaries, and it's shiny buildings that they can look at when they park their Mercedes in their new parking garage that they don't pay taxes on, and displaced a bunch of people to build.
I do like having shiny buildings to look at when I park my Mercedes in my parking garage, to be fair.
But see, that's the problem, is that when you have a Mercedes, you don't give a fuck. So that's down with Mercedes. And you know, or Mercedes for everyone and shiny things for everyone to look at.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
And then
either everyone or no one.
And then nobody has to give a fuck.
No one gives a fuck now.
No, that's true.
It's a sad state of affair.
I think we need more.
It's been a couple of weeks. Partial nudity. Oh my god,
I think more fucks given and not.
It's
fewer.
like Europe 1919.
More fucks given and not fewer fucks given is probably the solution that we're looking for.
Not if you live in Erie, because that's just not how we roll, sisters.
But
next week,
we'll
be back.
We will be back with Jim Wirtz from Erie County Democratic Party. We're going to talk lots of election talk and lots of like, so we.
Oh, and if
go on.
If you're not used to real journalism and you think we gave a hard time to John tonight, because I think we were legitimately fair about all of our questions. Like, we did research, like, you know.
Yeah,
but
we
if you think we were hard on him, yeah, just wait until Jimmy Boy gets in here and he's supposed to be on our side. I'm more like fucking hurt by shit that his team's done than anything that the EDDC's done. Well, that's not true, but
no, that's not true.
At the same time, like, kinda.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna have some stuff to talk about, and especially having talked to a couple of the folks involved in some of the local elections, it's really interesting how the support has been doled out amongst the folks in this election season. And also, like, I got my mail-in ballot. Do I fill that out? Do I take that to the courthouse? Do I put that in the mail? Good God, I'm not going to put that in the mail. Do I go vote in person? How are we working this? We'll have a whole conversation about that too, and that should be interesting. But yeah, come hang out with us.
Those questions and my interesting shit.
Those and more questions will be asked of our dear friend Jim Wertz next week on the next Social Distancing Variety Hour. In the meantime, this has been Social Distancing Variety Hour. He's Michael.
He's Adam. Wear your mask.
Yeah.
Give respect to John Persinger, but not his politics.
No.
EDDC sucks. We could make this a better community without the help of Erie Insurance. Social Distancing Variety Hour.